everybody. Hello and welcome back to day 2 of the Summer Showdown here at the esix gaming facility powered by Coca-Cola inside a Six Flags Fiesta Texas. I'm the best Taco, and I'll be taking you through all that day 2 has in store. Before we get started on the action that's going to be making up day 2 here at the Summer Showdown, have to keep in mind what happened in day number 1, because we had our speed race challenge taking place here inside of this very gaming facility, esix's brand new gaming facility even, presented by Coca-Cola. And the best part about it all is that we had 5 lucky fans from yesterday that walked away with $1,000 in their pocket each for getting 5 of the best times from yesterday's Speed Race Challenge. And that wasn't the only action that we had in day 1. We also had a couple of fun park challenges featuring some of our fans, and we also had some red versus blue challenges with our favorite content creators and pros that were sitting up here yesterday in day 1. As far as who's up here in day 2 though, that's what it's really all about, because we've got our Creator Rumble here for the Summer Showdown. And again, it's all taking place right here at Six Flags Fiesta Texas inside of the state-of-the-art esix gaming facility powered by Coca-Cola. And couldn't be more excited to get you guys into what today has in store, because that Creator Rumble, it's going to be a 54-player format. Granted, you know, some of the seats are going to be taken by some of the content creators and pros, but the rest of the fans, they're going to be having to play against their favorite creators and pros. That's what it's really all about, because we're trying to see who's really ready to spice up their gameplay, ready to showcase what kind of skill they can actually display here in a 5-game, 0 builds format. It's only going to be non-stop action, I have a feeling, because everybody in this event seems already powered up, ready to go. I mean, I keep talking about things, but I feel like with the way that the fans have been setting up at these PCs, some of these guys grinding in some practice games as is, they seem amped and ready to get things started. And again, it's all taking place right here inside of the esix game facility, powered by Coca-Cola, featured at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Really couldn't be a better time. Really couldn't ask for better people to be working this with either. But again, I'm just excited to see what more we have in store here today for our Day 2 Creator Rumble Summer Showdown Challenge. And again, I think a real man of the hour to get a little bit more in depth with that is going to be our boy Waltz over in the casting booth to break it down just a little bit further.
Hey, thanks, Taco. Yeah, today's going to be really excited. I'm super hyped to see all these creators and some of the pro players really get into the nitty-gritty of some 0 build action. The real key difference from what we saw yesterday and today is going to be, yesterday we saw a lot of people moving around on the map using building to get different vantage points and also get the jump on their opponents. But today it's going to be more about getting that really crisp movement, using natural cover from landscape, and also just making sure you're having your shields up and all your resources in the appropriate places. Today is going to be more so about those Fortnite fundamentals, they like to call them. Making sure you have a good positioning, because you can't just build your way out of tough spots. I'm not going to call anybody out. But it's going to make the creators and the other players rely a lot more on their just raw movement and their raw aim just to get that advantage on other players. To kind of go over how today is going to work, we're going to have 5 matches like Taco mentioned. It's going to be a running total of your score across those 5 matches. So if, let's say, your favorite player doesn't do so well in the first one, they still have a chance to bring it back. It's going to be taking into account the number of eliminations they get and their placements in the matches. So this is going to be the main format for today. And it's going to be a combined score, like I said, from all of those 5 matches. It's going to be 54 players total in this Creator Rumble. And honestly, I cannot wait to kind of jump into it. And to kind of give you a little more on who's going to actually be playing, we're going to kick it back to Taco on the floor.
Thanks so much, Waltz. And again, we saw him yesterday, but we want to see more of him here today. Representing from Team Agent, first up, walking through, is going to be our very own Scented, who's honestly just an all-around standout individual. He's got some phenomenal gameplay to back up his walk. He's a man that's all about action. He's ready to get started on the day. Senna's not the only one, though, from Team Agent that's here to represent. In fact, they've even got Pars, who's ready to show his org mate just what the competition is really all about, because this is a free-for-all as far as these guys are concerned. There's no more red versus blue challenges like what we saw in yesterday's day one ordeal. Instead, it's going to be all about whether or not Pars is ready to rise to the occasion and showcase what it is exactly that Team Agent is here to do. Calm and collected as always. That's just a man with lots of mental discipline behind his gameplay. But again, that's not the only two Team Agent members that we have here. It's also going to be Baka representing as well, just in case you guys wanted to see more of what he has in store. He's ready to represent and really put these fans and the rest of his org mates up to the test of whether or not they're going to actually be able to beat him out. The prize pool involved here today. A little bit more on that later on, though. One of my personal favorites that's going to be representing here today, whether or not he's going to have a bit, in store, because he can't sell at this level. Oliver OG trying to do everything in his power to make sure that he can get a cut of the prize pool that's involved here today. Well, a little confidence in the action. I hear the fans calling out to him. For a second there, he wanted to respond, but then he realized he's got to stay honed in. He's got to stay focused on the goal. And that's just winning here today. Because it's a lot of bragging rights on the line for some of these guys that are involved here today. But again, these aren't the only members. We've also got one very special lucky fan who's going to be representing up here on stage in this Creator Rumble Summer Showdown Challenge. And it's going to be I Not Marco. But I have a feeling it actually is Marco, just based on the gamer tag alone. Got it. Definitely looks excited to get the ball rolling here today. But again, the seats might be a little bit different than what we saw on day number one, but we still have a whole nother side to fill out. And first things first, we're gonna be opening thing floor up here today with our very own Zemi making his appearance here yet again. Speed Race Challenge was quite the ordeal, but he's ready to showcase that when it comes to zero builds, he's got everything down pat. See, it's always all smiles before the competition actually begins because nobody's had a chance to fall behind yet, but have to understand, everybody's just feeling so confident. And after Zemi, of course, we've got to have our very own Bully representing here again today. And Bully's been talking a lot, man. All day yesterday at Six Flags, I heard this guy nonstop, I am winning it all today. So whether or not he's going to be able to back those words up, only time will tell. You can say he was even feeling himself on the walk out there. But third up, and the mastermind behind the Speed Race Challenge that we saw taking place in day one of the Summer Showdown, it's gonna be Kazify, here yet again to showcase what exactly his skills are made of, because he's more than just a creative map maker. This guy has got some talent to really back up everything. You got it, man. Always like to give them a little chance, get seated, get settled in, because these next 5 games, man, they're going to be quite the ordeal to break through, especially when you keep in mind what exactly is on the line. But Kazify's, Bully, Zemi, they're not the only ones they're going to be repping here today. We've also got a couple more members left to go. Next one up, though, is going to be our very own Booga. Here's somebody in the audience instantly wanting him to try and hit an emote or a dance, but can't blame him. He's been doing it non-stop. But last, not least, sometimes some would like to say you save the best for last. And in the case of Somerset, I think that tends to hold true. Quite an elegant player to behold. Really excited to see what she's going to be able to showcase here today in our zero builds opportunity. Let's go, Summer. So there you got it, guys. We've got our creators, we've got some of our pros lined up here today for day 2 of the Summer Showdown Creator Rumble. But again, it's not just the money that's on the line. Sure, everybody loves a little bit of extra cash. But as far as bragging rights are really concerned, it's always in the material items. And maybe money can buy you some material items, but money can't buy you another Summer Showdown belt, because that is gonna be the real trophy that we have to showcase here today. I mean, just look at the way this thing glistens. This thing's bigger than my whole head. This is what it's really all about. Because you gotta wear this out to the airport, you gotta wear this out in the park. I mean, everybody's gonna know that you're the 2023 Summer Showdown champion. I gotta take it in for a second. It really doesn't get much better than that, in all honesty. And again, it's just one of those opportunities to kind of flex on your friends, flex on some of the creators and pros. I know that as far as these creators and pros are considered, these guys have been talking nonstop. Bully especially, of course, like I already mentioned, but they've all been ready and geared up, trying to prove to each other who exactly is going to be the #1 owner of not only that Summer Showdown belt, but just the prize pool and all the glory that comes with it here today. But hey, one more time, it's gonna be Waltz walking us through just a little bit more of what we can expect.
Hey, thanks, Taco. Man, all these players just rolling out. It kind of goes to show like the amount of talent we have in the room today. I'm interested to see the way that the creators and the pro players are going to clash today. But I'm even more interested to see how everyone is able to handle themselves on a more individual level. Yesterday, obviously, we saw them playing on teams of 5 for the blue versus red challenge, like Taco mentioned. But now, if you get knocked down, that's it. There is no teammate coming to save you. You need to be completely self-reliant. There aren't going to be second chances in this format. So it's going to be really important to be as safe as possible, maintain your position, and not get caught slacking when you're running across these open fields. It's going to be interesting to see who is able to kind of bring in their focus and just hit the ground running, because a lot of times it's tough to be ready right away to go and just playing at your best right away. So we'll see who can get out in front, get a good lead, and see if they can maintain it. I'm wondering about this Marco kid though. I think I'm interested to see it. Well, I not Marco. I mean, we can't know for sure, but I'm wondering how he's going to be able to perform, especially on the stage for the first time. It's going to be interesting to see if he's able to handle the pressure, because that's half the battle. That's definitely half the battle. Oh, these kids are getting hyped. Okay, they're like, all right, you know what? I'm looking for these pro players. I'm looking for these creators. I want to go head to head. Oh man. Oh. And you got Taco in the booth.
Yeah, definitely excited. I mean, I saw you and JD yesterday get into a little bit of rundown of the action that the Speed Rage challenges had in store. But now when it comes to zero builds, I mean, that's some bread and butter as far as I'm concerned. And I'm definitely excited to see just how well a lot of these players are able to actually make some quick adaptations, because you have to imagine that the creators and the pros especially, they definitely got some tricks up their sleeve.
Oh, 100%. I think the thing that's going to differentiate these players is going to be their awareness of the terrain and their positional advantages. Because a lot of times when you see someone like yesterday in a bad spot, they can just build their way out of it. It's like, oh, I have the low ground, now I have the high ground. And it's like being able to kind of think ahead in the fight and say, all right, this is where I need to kind of rotate to in order to get the advantage a little bit further down. And then if you're not that experienced, you're like, oh, why is he going that way? There's no covering. He's like, oh, well, now I have the advantage, and I'm the one that's going to continue on in this round, and you're going to be watching from the sidelines. So it'll be cool to see how these players kind of adapt to the map and each other, and really just how the day plays out.
Yeah, I'm mostly excited to see how exactly everything fares as far as the 3 new POIs are concerned, because especially looking at Eclipse Estates, I mean, you can get the special Scope Burst SMG, and it's only available at Eclipse Estate. You have to take down the boss there, so of course, keeping all of these things in mind, and especially knowing just what kind of loot is available, because you're talking about builds and not being able to build your way out of a sticky situation. But porta bunkers aren't even that reliable either, man, if you think about it. Now with the way that the rocket rams have been running around, same thing for the shockwave launcher, shockwave grenades in general, and especially if you're lucky enough to get an on-the-go augment in your loot pool, I mean, it makes it so much easier because you're just constantly stockpiling all those shockwave grenades.
Oh, yeah. And so another thing that comes down to it is, like, that gets into it is being able to manage your loadout, right? Are you gonna run 2 guns? Are you gonna run 3 guns? Are you gonna focus more on like having extra shields, or are you gonna get more mobility movement items? So it's like, what do you want to focus on? Do you want to go to a highly contested area like the Eclipse Estates? Or you want to slide over to maybe like Relentless? Like where do you want to like drop, and where do you want to start off? And what kind of game do you want to play? Because if you kind of go into these high population areas, you could get a lot of eliminations. You could get a lot of early kills, and then you won't even necessarily need to win the round if you're doing like that well, just like eliminating other players. So it'll be interesting to see the approaches that we see, because a lot of times there are a lot of different ways to play the game, and I want to see some of that personality, that individuality we saw yesterday in the speedruns kind of come up today, and see how people approach trying to win this challenge.
Yeah, I mean, Bully is definitely one that I've certainly got my eye out for, because, again, I really cannot elaborate enough on just how much he kept talking about, I am winning it here today. I am taking it all home. And, I mean, that kind of confidence, it stems from him understanding just how much skill he actually has to back everything up. And again, Zero Builds is a much different realm in comparison to Builds. Not even so much from the building aspect, but you have to understand much more even how you actually factor in those rotations, because you rotate a little bit too early, you rotate a little bit too late, and all of a sudden you're walking in to being the third-party situation, because that's what really runs rampant all the time in Zeros, and it's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, and game third party is just like, it makes sense. If you see 2 people fighting, and you're like, oh, they just finished the fight, and I'm coming in fresh. They're reloading, their shields are low, their health is low. I can get a huge advantage here. I can get all of the loot from both players. Like, it's such a huge advantage. Like, it only makes sense to go for it, and it's bound to happen. This is just like a thing of life. It's like the sun coming up in the morning. So being prepared for those situations and being able to like adapt and react fast enough, and just knowing that it's like a likelihood to happen, it's gonna kind of be very telling in some of these pros, because a lot of times you're like, all right, you finish the fight, you don't just immediately like, oh, what do they got? Oh, nice. Oh, I needed some of that. It's like you take a quick scan.
So I'm trying to get some tricks out of my back pocket as well.
You do a quick scan on the horizon, you get your shields up, you find some new cover, and then you make sure that no one's getting the drop on you, because they're like, oh, you got all that loot, that could be mine. And I get elimination. I'm one step closer to getting that final victory. So it's gonna be interesting. I totally agree. It's gonna be really different, way different from yesterday. Because yesterday was kind of like, hey, you know what? You go down, someone picks you up. You know, you had Somerset just like riding the whip, just cruising around, and it was more kind of laid back, relaxed. Today is gonna be a little more intense. I think. It's no second chances. It's the mistakes are gonna be way more unforgiving.
To an extent. I mean, then again, when you have 5 matches to kind of spread things through, it does make things a little bit more, I guess, some alleviation on that stress, because you don't necessarily have to fret like, hey, I didn't necessarily have the greatest drop. Game number 1, game number 2 didn't even necessarily go my way. But realistically, when the victory royales are only worth 15 points each and eliminations only 1 point each, I don't really expect anyone to necessarily get a runaway lead with things, especially not when you know that the creators, you have to imagine, some of the pros there especially, they're going to be looking to take each other out, if anything, because in their minds, if I'm looking at it from the pro perspective, I'm thinking to myself, hey, if I just eliminate the obvious competition that I have here, and then you have to remember, you're not even factoring the fans. Like, that is the real bamboozle factor here, because we saw yesterday just how talented some of the fans are, even in that speed race challenge. So mechanics aren't necessarily the concern. I think a lot of it is just going down to boil down to how well people are able to handle their nerves, like you mentioned, because it does change things a slight bit when you have the pressure coming in as well, knowing there's a live audience, knowing there's people watching your every move, your every mistake even, or how well you can bounce back from those, because I think a lot of this just comes down to mental endurance. Oh,
100%. And most games are almost entirely mental. It's like, hey, can you just refocus your mind? You get tagged. and it's not much damage, but you're like, you start to like panic. You're like, oh, and you accidentally run out of like what could have been a good spot, and suddenly you're making these bad choices and bad decisions. And if you look back at it like with a calm mind, you're like, oh, I could have just walked back into the house and then shielded up, waited from the home run corner, had a good line of sight, and then just wanted to fight. Or literally just wait. The storm wasn't coming for a while. You had time. But the thing is, in those high pressure moments, sometimes you just kind of lose yourself. You're like, oh no, I have to like do this now. But it's gonna be cool to see like if some of these. You see this. Oh man, I'm excited to see these kids excited, man.
These guys are ready to pop off.
Man, they're like, man, I am about to win. That's I want to see them kind of pull out these cool plays. I know they were watching really closely during the speed races, and they were learning a lot. And then they were able to just like execute on it. So I'm wondering if they're able to do a similar thing today and just kind of pick the brains of these pros and creators and just like, bring out a win. There's no reason why a fan can't win today.
I think one of the exciting aspects to think about as well, though, is depending on how congested some of our final zones actually end up being, because it's a rather common tactic, I think, especially in zero builds, where players will try to opt from rotating out of the dead side area of zone. But again, with the way that the rocket ram is functional and its functionality of just being able to destroy literally everything, and not only that, but the height possibility as well. I mean, being able to go up 14 tiles even. Granted, this isn't builds, of course, but it's still a very high approach that you could possibly have to just surprise someone who might be in a separate engagement. Because again, I think that one of the best features of zero builds, at least from a spectator point of view, is that you can really just see when other teams, or even, it's not even necessarily, because of the fact that it's a solos event as well, it's going to be all the more complicated because you don't have the reliability of being able to fall back on your duo mate or on your squad mate. It's like literally all on you. So there is going to be ample opportunity, I think, for a sneak attack, either from the fans or from the pros and content creators themselves. And I'm honestly really excited for one item in particular, the business turrets. Because a good placement, though, in the right circumstance, and that item could actually just go crazy.
It's funny you mentioned the business turret. It's a controversial item. People are like, man, it does all the work for you. It's like you literally go take it to work with you, and it's like it's one of those things where it basically has a quote unquote aimbot because it's like aiming by itself. But I definitely think it's gonna like come into play here today. Just it's one of those really strong items. If you position it properly, you can just basically be that squad mate you were looking for.
Or you could even just get a direct squad mate with the NPC eyes. You have to keep in mind that 16 different NPCs on the map, and some of them are going to have different utilizations as well. I mean, look about the scout NPCs, for example, with able to mark terrain and mark enemies in the area and chests as well for you within every 45 seconds, I believe. So that is quite the advantage if you're able to take advantage of it. And I think one of my favorite scouts is actually located over in Frenzy Field. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for the NPC hires there. If anybody tries to take advantage of that, I could definitely expect to see Frenzy popping, because I do believe, depending on your goal, granted, I wouldn't expect anybody to have too much early on and like our first one or two matches, but maybe into the third, fourth, and fifth, if players are able to immediately purchase, it's going to be that gold twin mag assault rifle, and you're getting to start the match right off with such a high power item that is so great at getting damage done from a distance. That could make things really complicated for everybody else in the lobby.
Oh yeah, man, today is just gonna be insane. There's so many things to consider, and like I'm just ready for to sink my teeth into it.
If you had to place a bet, though, how close do you think it's going to be exactly between the top three?
That's a good question. It's hard to say, right? Because there's so many factors. But I'm thinking it's probably gonna be no more than a 10-point differential at the top three.
10-point differential. Yeah, I mean, if I'm a fan and I'm here at Six Flags and I'm looking at the guys on stage, the creators and pros alike, the one thing I'm thinking to myself is I want to be the one to prove to them that, hey, you guys might have builds all day long, but zero builds, I'm going to take over as far as this is concerned. I mean, this is a great opportunity, I think, for players to just get a solid confidence boost for themselves as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what some of these people who some of these fans that came in out of Six Flags just to come and see what they're able to pull off in this game, in this zero build lobby. Because again, it's like some of those protections and some of those those comforts are going to be gone. So, Hey, it's just you and the other players.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite parts is that knowing that it's just you for the most part, but maybe you get a look at the person next to you on your screen, and we're talking about looking over at somebody else's screen. At the same time, we've got JD, who's actually looking to tap into some of the members in the crowd over there.
And Kinsley, and we have had people from all over the country come out to E6 Fiesta Texas here in San Antonio, and these folks are our grand finals winners. Steve, tell me how you won an all expenses paid trip here to E6 in San Antonio.
A mail-in, believe it or not. A friend of mine told me about this sweepstakes that they were having, and I looked it up online. I read the rules, filled out an index card, and I put it in the mail. And next thing you know, I got a phone call, and here I am.
Here you are. And tell me, have you ever been to an esports event like this before?
Never been to anything like this in my life. I'm looking at these computers up here, and I'm envious, but it's awesome. The games, and then I never realized that there was so much money involved in these games. And my granddaughter here, Kinsley, she rocks in this game. Somerset is her favorite. She loves all of these people on the stage and wants their signatures, by the way, on her controller. And that's that.
Well, we'll absolutely get you hooked up with Somerset and ensure that you get those autographs. You guys aren't just here watching, you're competing and you're succeeding. Tell me about your placement in the speed run yesterday, Kinsley.
Actually, I was in 6th place by like just a couple points. It was crazy, but it was fun. And even if I did lose, I had fun doing it.
That's incredible. So tell me, now that you've experienced this here at Six Flags Fiesta Texas here at E6, what is your perspective on gaming after seeing this as then before you were mailing in that sweepstakes ballot?
I never, like I said before, I never realized that there was so much money involved and in this sport. And it's an opportunity for a lot of these kids to move forward in life, even playing games, believe it or not. I'm an Atari guy, That's me. These new games, they're just remarkable. The graphics and then the creativity that goes into making them, it's just amazes me.
Well, we are so glad to have you here. I understand you are playing in the tournament, so we will help you get back to your PC here. And Waltz and Taco, pretty exciting to see people winning both a trip here and also winning in the tournament as well. Back to you.
Oh my gosh, Kinsley. It might be the new favorite for today. I don't know.
I like the mentality most of all.
God, yeah.
Mentioning, hey, 6th place, that close, but just fell short. But then at the same time, able to be like, hey, I had fun the whole time doing it, though, because I think being here at the E6 Gaming Facility, powered by Coca-Cola, inside of Six Flags Fiesta Texas, you come to Six Flags because you want to have fun.
True.
And what better way to do that than getting to participate in things like our Summer Showdown?
That mentality, like you said, is just so cool to see. And it's like, that's exactly what you want from a competitor. It's like, whenever you're competing, you go 100%, you go all in. But once it's over, you got to, you know what? Hey, I had a good time. It is what it is. You kind of move on to the next challenge. And that is just so cool to hear. That's amazing. I love that. I love that so much. Oh. And I'm going to be keeping my eye on Kinsley for this today's challenge because 6th place, that was right there. So close. Man.
Slightly different field of view, though, but definitely exciting nonetheless because it definitely indicates that there is some good mechanical skill there to get through the Speed Race Challenge and be in that position in the first place. Yeah. And again, I think that when it comes to zero builds, knowing that you're banking pretty much everything on just your positional and your map awareness, I think that players who can do well in things like Speed Race Challenge, it can definitely fare and hold their own as far as a zero builds match is concerned.
Oh yeah, for sure. And no, I honestly, it's kind of speaking more to like the speedrunning aspect. We had the top five from yesterday. Like I would kind of wonder like how they would fare in like in the zero build lobby. So,
I mean, some of them are here today.
yeah, exactly. So it'll be cool to see if there's like some overlap where, oh, I got top 5 in the speedrun challenge. I also got top 3 in the battle royale, in the creator rumble. So like it'd be cool to see like if there was some overlap and you know, just I want to see some of these creators and pros get a run for their money.
Yeah, they got to go through final boss bully first.
True.
At least as far as he's trying to amp himself up for it. But I think it's definitely going to be awesome, though, regardless, just seeing how exactly close the fans are going to be able to keep things in terms of matching pace with the content creators and pros. But again, I am just expecting some form of sabotage. I will be disappointed if we don't see at least one game of it coming out here today.
It's like taking stream.
I just like mayhem, man.
It'll take stream sniping to a whole new level. It's like, oh, I know where Bully's at. He dropped the sanguine. I gotta go over there now.
It's like you overhear the kids from yesterday. They'll be like, "Oh, we're dropping on Buga today, right?" You know, that kind of
we're
thing
dropping
going
on Buga.
So, I mean, again, it's one way to show love to the people that you love, because I think with the content creators and pros here, I mean, they know that a lot of this, it's involved with fun at the root of it all, but at the same time, they probably have a good understanding that, hey, the people that love me, I mean, it's tough love at the end of the day.
You know, I love you so much, I want to take you out first.
Yeah,
you know?
that sounds about right. That sounds about like the pro player experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of an interesting dynamic, right? I really admire this player. Like, I love watching them. I watch their content. I watch them when they stream. But like at the same time, whenever I'm in the lobby with them, I want to beat them. You know, I want to be the one to beat this person. Like, it's like the admiration almost like flips. Like, and it's like interesting. It's like, oh yeah, I admire this player so much, and I want to like take him out. But no, it's one of those cool things that you can actually get to play against this person that you've been watching for years, you've been studying, learning from. It's like, oh, now I get to like potentially run into Buga in this royale. And it's like, man, what an experience. And that's all happening here at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Listen, man, if you had told me this would be a thing at when I was growing up, I would not believe you. I was like, hey, I said that Six Flags is just roller coasters. That's what it is. Now we have this awesome arena. We have all these people coming together. You have pro players, creators in the building, just interacting with fans. Like, man, it's like a dream come true. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, but the fact that this E6 game facility, powered by Coca-Cola, you know, it's exclusive here to Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and one of the best parts about it all is that even after yesterday, once day one concluded with the Speed Race Challenge and all of the Q&A panels and everything, and the meet and greets as well with the pros, I mean, even had an opportunity to go get some action myself on the roller coasters, and those rides were honestly fantastic. I loved the whole experience. I mean, Six Flags Fiesta Texas definitely knows how to throw down as far as the roller coasters are concerned. I mean, gotta revisit a tour with Boomerang, but if I'm being completely honest, I know that somebody else that was on those rides with me yesterday was actually Somerset and her dad. They were so much fun to hang out with, and we've even got JD standing by with the both of them.
That's right, Taco. You just heard from Kinsley that her favorite player is Somerset, and I am here with Somerset's father, Shad. What is that like to hear that a fan is a huge fan of your daughter?
Dude, it's just surreal, man. Like, it's surreal. Being dad. First, shout out to Kitty Cat 85, mom, who this is what it's really all about. She and you know, Kayla have really just built just an amazing community. It's all about the community anytime, you know. So first of all, shout out to them and what they've done. I'm just here to make sure, you know, I'm just here for security, right? So, and it is cool. And you see a gentleman talking about how his, you know, daughter is looking up to, you know, your daughter, and it's like, is there anything better than that, right? It's just amazing. Everybody is just so amazing. We were talking about that earlier today. It's like, you know, you have this fame that, you know, these streamers have reached up to, but they're also down to earth, and they're so cool, and it's just, I use the word surreal. Like, it's just what it is, man. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the emotion, and you know, it's just amazing that you're here with your daughter, and that she is here to perform on this incredible stage along some of the biggest creators in the world. So thank you for being here. We're gonna kick it back to Taco and Waltz. Take it away.
Oh man, I love to hear it. Love to see the parents' involvement as well.
Of course, I mean, everybody wants to be supportive of, especially when you got like a, you know, internet celebrity on your hands,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Somerset. I mean, fantastic player, but again, she's not the only one that's participating here today. We've
Oh.
actually got game number 1 locked and loaded. Players are jumping off the battle bus as we speak, and already getting a ride alongside Booga.
There he is.
He seems to be headed straight for that top section of the map, and it looks like Sanguine Sweets might be on his mind.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a very popular spot to drop. It has like a lot of good drops. So it'll be. I'm wondering if he's gonna have a lot of contention there, but we'll just have to wait and see here.
Keep in mind, it is every man for himself, every woman for themselves in this competition here today. And Booga knows it. You can see him, a little shifty eye glance. Who's to his left, who's to his right, both in real life and in game. He's just trying to make sure that he's got the perimeter fully scoped. But given that it is 54 players participating here today, I would expect some areas of the map to be uncontested, but I would be surprised if Booga gets to walk away with all the Sanguine Sweets to his own desire.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's almost no chance. You can see him even like literally watching his back. He's like, hey, I'm not gonna be the first one to drop. I am making sure that I'm clear. If anyone's on the horizon, I'm gonna be ready for them. Getting able to grab some boots really quickly right now. All right, switching over to Baka. Man.
Yeah,
Good
Baka,
mantle.
yeah, definitely chilling. I believe he's at the Hall of Whispers right now, relatively common area, one that Baka is certainly familiar with, just taking his time with those small shield potions, a little bit of slap juice as well, just to get a little bit more momentum.
Oh yeah, I saw him practicing his squatting. You know, make sure he had that just tight.
I mean, Bully possibly with the first elimination here today. Just a clean opportunity there that he was more than happy to take advantage of, but that is just some of the power behind this twin mag, and definitely something to keep an eye out for.
Oh yeah. All right, looks like he's got a vehicle available if he wants to take a spin, but right now just gonna be content to just keep grabbing some loot, moving around, see if he sees anybody around.
Yeah, I mean, he's deep south of the map right now, hanging out over by Steamy Springs. So it looks like his mentality is just to work his way up. Depending on how the zone actually pools, he'll even have a possible great opportunity to take advantage of some of the vehicles that you saw, like you mentioned. The bikes, I think, especially can be speedy, but at the same time, he's got a little bit of company here in the bush.
All right.
Ember lurking. He knows the sneaky ninja plays are here to ride it out, but
The good use of this roof here. It's going to be able to get that right shoulder peak, get a good vantage point if anyone does decide to pop out of that bush. Oh man, this is our first real engage of the day. It's exciting.
they don't want to make themselves known. I can't blame them. Bush really does.
Picked out.
Such good coverage. Bully not quite able to get another clip in just yet, but still has ample opportunity to work with. Keep in mind, he also has 2 of those porta bunkers. I mean, wouldn't anticipate him to use either of those just yet, but once he gets the first couple of tags in, you can see he starts locking into the rest.
Oh, got 68 damage on him. The overshield's going down a little bit. Yeah, so then the other thing to consider here is the longer he's there, there's this engage carries on, there's the higher chance that someone might just slide in from behind. So he's gonna have to be somewhat aware of that. And even though he has a good vantage point on this one player, that could change if someone else shows up.
Depends. I think it'd be rather difficult for anybody to work their way across the bridge there to get nearby where Bully is at. He's done a great job of where he's chosen to ride.
What good use of, oh man. He just blocks out the entire bush and just deletes the cover. That's a nice play.
I didn't have any shockwave grenades available. Definitely would have expected that to have been his first method of approach there. Shockwaves are just so good at displacing your enemies whenever you find yourself in those kind of situations, but definitely agree with you because you don't want to spend that much time doing elimination. And for Bully, he wants it to be clean, concise, keep it moving.
Yeah, you just want to continue your forward motion, continue grabbing new loot, finding new players, new areas to stake out. And it's just, even though you have the advantage in that fight, you don't want to spend like 10 minutes fighting this one player because they're being patient as well. All right, got Oliver OG here. Some pretty good loot so far. Ooh. It's looking pretty healthy right now.
Oliver just trying to set himself up nicely for the mid game. I mean, Mega City tends to be one of the more highly populated drops, if anything, and that's mostly just because of the fact, I mean, especially in zero builds, lots of gold opportunities available just from being able to break this furniture, gives you some nice opportunities for augment rerolls if you so desire, or again, even looking for those NPC higher opportunities. I think that is something that can sometimes be a little overlooked, not so much by players like Oliver.
No.
I would definitely expect our content creators and our pros to maybe be a little bit more heads up on trying to take advantage of those NPC hires, because again, you just get so many features depending on which ones you actually look to go for, and consider all 16 of them scattered across the map, handful of them having some of the same features as well. It's just quite a useful tool to have in your back pocket.
No, absolutely. We see Summer now, just being a little cautious, making sure there's no one over in that area. Seeing if anyone's out in the open, running around trying to find new cover.
I want to see the 360 nose.
Oh gosh.
I wouldn't expect anything like that quite exactly. Trick shotting in a competition would definitely be next level.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. But this pro sniper rifle really does offer a lot of great long range opportunities, and not only that, but you can really catch someone off guard that might be in a separate battle elsewhere. And if you're able to just pick off one or two members with that suppressed sniper rifle, you don't even have to get up close and personal.
Oh no, it's like, I don't actually want to be near you, I just want to eliminate you and keep moving. And I like the way she kind of scoped out the area before she slid down the hill, because you don't want to just go down somewhere and then either someone's waiting and lying in wait, or they also have high ground somewhere else. So she was able to kind of like scout out the area and then make it do a very controlled just descent into that lower ground, just to make sure that, hey, I'm not gonna get surprised. No one's gonna be like sneaking up on me. But now we're looking at Casify over here on the edge of the map right now. Just kind of taking a cautious approach here on this roof.
Yeah, I think a lot of players with experience, they tend to love that north side of the map approach because there's so much natural elevation there. Gives you some great opportunities to not only kind of eagle eye who might be nearby, but again, it's also anytime you have a top-down overview of other people in your vicinity, it makes things so much easier as far as looking for some early mid-game eliminations are concerned. And Casify, he seems like he just wants to take a slow and steady approach here as well. He's not in a rush to get into the thick of the action. He doesn't, when it comes to zero builds, you never want to blow your resources right away. Like we saw Bully, for example, earlier on, throwing out one of those porta bunkers. He can afford to do that when it's that early, because he'll have an opportunity with that south side of the map to just continue farming things out. Zemi, looking like he's collected an elimination, is now looting the spoils. Some nice little things he just picked up.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, and like you mentioned, like being forced to use that porta bunk, it's like, you could see he was kind of reluctant. He was like, oh, maybe I can win this fight and not use any resources. But the other player just was playing well enough where it's like, hey, if you want to win this fight now, then you have to do something a little extra than just wait for me to walk out of this bush. So, yeah, it's definitely important to try to conserve the resources, but sometimes you also need to know when it's time to use them in order to just move on and continue on with your exploration of the map.
Yeah. And Zimmy right now, I mean, kind of funny, he's taking the nitro thing out from Drift Ridge. Granted, he picked that up beforehand, but at the same time, it's just that mid-map approach, being at the Drift Ridge, such a central location, makes it a lot easier. We saw the zone pool. Zemi didn't really waste much time either, and best part about it all, he seems to have encountered a cache here. So utilizing the car just to make it all that much easier to collect this cache. And another really common tactic approach is use the car for cover.
We have an engagement right here. Oh, maybe they just want to get out of dodge. Oh dear. Trying to melt the car down.
It's got plenty of ammo for it.
Yeah.
He wants to just keep taking shots, put somebody else's vehicle down low so that they can't pose as much safety inside of it.
Absolutely. Might just let him get out of dodge. He's like, hey, if you don't want to fight, hey, maybe I don't want to fight either. I have my own agenda here.
Yeah, Sammy just wants the cash, and I can't blame him. I mean, legendary cash is one of the best ways to collect a couple of slurp juices, and those legendary slurp juices go a long way in terms of your survivability and just how long, because you can spend a little bit extra time if you want to make some of those dead zone approaches I touched on earlier. Pop a legendary slurp juice gives you so much more time because the tick damage from the storm in those later zones nowhere near as threatening when you've got the health sustain coming through.
No, absolutely. Kind of gives you just more flexibility in those later portions of the game. Oh. All right, and someone is down, just like that.
Fars is locked in, man. You cannot break that man's focus if you tried.
All right, things starting to heat up. We're about a little bit less than half than what the players that we started with. We got 21 left in the round. So it's getting down to it. Gonna be seeing more movement with the storm here in a little bit. He's just enjoying a nice cruise.
Yeah, but keep in mind, the zone, it's starting to look awfully north side pulling, and Fars already coming up on the approach to Brutal Bastion here. You can tell this area has already been looted out. Have to expect that with the way the zone just continues pulling further north, if it goes that way and continues on this current trajectory, Fars has got to be aware of the fact that, I mean, there's plenty of natural elevation like we were talking about, plenty of opportunities for players to try and take advantage of just forcing Fars to expend some of his resources earlier on if they're able to get some good tags on him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's gonna turn into like a resource management game at some point where you might be able to get out of a bad engagement, but again, yeah, you're gonna need to burn some of these resources in order to do that. So just being the person who's like not having to do that is gonna be such an advantage so that you can still have more options later on in those fights.
Just trying to keep the vehicles with them. I mean, I would definitely anticipate a lot of these vehicles to try and stick around for as long as possible. And Pars, he seems like he's got an idea already of where exactly he wants to set up.
But Booga said, hey, that's not the spot you want to be in. I have my sights on you. I've been ready, locked and loaded. And looking like, yeah, the legendary slurp is on deck. Have just plenty of equipment to work with. And a great vantage point. Just ready for anything. You got the 360 view. I wonder how much you paid for that one.
I mean, at the same time, though, hanging out on the buildings at Brutal Bastion, you might get 360 aerial, but everybody else has got 360 on you, too.
That's true.
A lot more ways for players to try and make their approach on him. Right now, Booga just seems to be sending off some suppressive fire here. Doesn't really want anybody to try and look for peaks on him, so right mentality for sure as far as trying to manage the spread of where these players are trying to engage with them.
Oh, no, absolutely. And it's really important because you want to maintain, you make sure you maintain that pressure, even though he's not like trying to land a shot right now. But hey, you know what? I could be trying to land a shot on you, and you don't know that because you don't have the information that's available to you. I have a full view of your situation, and you kind of don't even know exactly what I'm trying to do right now. Are you gonna switch up the augment?
First assault on that first one, and the sniper augment as well. Just, I mean, if you're gonna carry the suppressed sniper rifle, it's usually best to maintain at least one or two augments dedicated to it as well. And the suppressed sniper rifle too, I think that the idea here, as far as Booga is concerned, he would love to just wear down these vehicles.
Oh, nice tag with that first sniper rifle shot. Gonna get him to jump out of the vehicle, actually. Looking for the shot, misses it. This is a long-range fight, folks. And Booga have the advantage right now, but that could change with some of these mobility items.
Pretty clean, though. That rocket ran through the air, and Booga was not thrown off in the slightest. Can't stand still for too long. You end up as a gargoyle. You'll go down at the same time.
Lots of damage at range there.
Definitely some shield potions and plurp juices bound to be expended there. Shields certainly pressured.
Yeah, and that's all the more you don't have to deal with a little bit later on when you go for the final kill. But we're gonna go ahead and relocate. The location is getting a little too hot. He's like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna find some new ground to take a view from.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 4 of those porta bunkers. If he's able to set up on this mountain early on, this is a really common mountain perch in general in the Fortnite realm. And for Booga, he's kind of got a really good understanding of just how this map is actually going to continue pulling, and the way that it just keeps going further and further north. Booga knows he can't stick around for too long. So many players already leveraging some of their positional and their zone favoritism, as I like to call it. Whenever you're already that far up north and then the zone just falls right onto you, you can't ask for a better zone pool.
Man, he's gonna get tagged quite a bit. Gonna have to burn one of those legendary slurps. Man, that's and even using a porta bunk as well, just to kind of build some cover for himself. Just get a little bit more room to work with here. Right now it's getting a little hot, even though they're in the the least hot place on the map.
I mean, he is on the edge of zone though. It seems like the mentality here for Booga, just to keep trying to build up, keep trying to match pressure as far as height is concerned. Because again, it's really hard. Considering that you don't have builds to work with, you can't actually just overtake height naturally. You have to depend on what's available to you, whether that's the natural map features or if you're able to stack a couple of these porta bunkers together. But you are still at the risk, depending on how you're standing, depending on how you're trying to peek. If somebody's got a shockwave launcher or a shockwave grenade and they want to try and force you into a position that you weren't expecting to be in, that's why I think Booga's trying to hang out underneath this ramp inside of the porta bunker, because he doesn't want to risk getting flung outside of this safe zone that he set up right here on the edge of zone. This is a great spot to be, because with the edge pulling in, now that zone, the storm's starting to catch up, players who didn't necessarily get that rotate in as quickly as Booga, he might get a great opportunity to pick some of them off.
Just like you said. Someone trying to jump into to evade the zone, and Booga gonna just melt him all the way down. Wow.
Of course it's Baka that's pressuring. I mean, we saw him really early on. I believe it was Hall of Whispers, and he was starting off at. So knowing that this is basically his backyard with the way that the zone pull has ended up, Baka just continuing to pressure out. Might not even know that that's Booga that he's taking shots at, but he can understand that with that player's positioning, that's who his biggest threat on the map probably is right now. And Booga knows that as far as this next zone pull is concerned, he's definitely still able to make things work inside of this porta bunker base that he set up.
Yeah, it's going to be a test of patience here, and just his resolve, really. We even saw, even though Baka has an advantage on Booga, Booga has an advantage on anyone who's trying to come into this space from the other side. So it's interesting to see like this dynamic where he's like, hey, I'm in a bad spot, but you're in a worse spot than I am.
Interesting, though, that Booga is actually rocking with the Foundation's MK7 assault rifle, because the rate of fire on that bad boy definitely a little bit more speedy than that of the twin mag assault rifle. And considering that he's got the mythic edition of it, it just seems as though Booga is trying to burn down anybody that comes into mid-range with him.
Oh, gonna porta bump and jump. Get right back on undercover. Listen.
A slick play with the shockwave launcher, man. He knew exactly where he wanted to head, and you could tell. I believe there might have been a player there just before, but either way, Booga will get to collect the spoils that... More than happy for that one.
Yeah, and just gonna quickly not only relocate, not only get to pick up the loot, but also get cover again. It's just these really smart decisions from Booga are just really showing off like his experience in the game.
This is a great spot though for Senate. He is center zone, as center of the zone basically as you could hope to be, and with that porta bunker inside of this building as well, he's got also the vehicle. Not even just for a quick getaway, but just to buy himself a little bit more time, maybe prevent some of his shields and health from actually being shot down by some of these other players approaching. Wouldn't be surprised to see somebody maybe try to take out that vehicle if they have time.
I hope we didn't leave the keys in the car. That might be a problem.
You gotta leave the engine running though for a quick getaway.
You're absolutely right. But right now, he's just trying to keep his head on the swivel, using that over-the-shoulder view to get a little peek outside while remaining undercover.
And he's got the door to block out anybody that might be trying to look for an extra shot on him. Right side peek as well, always favorable. And
there he gets touch with somebody, gonna porta bunk up, wearing down the structure. Oh, gets another tag on him.
Shockwave grenade also not going to be able to land. That's big because those shockwave grenades, I mean, they are just so useful as far as getting you out of a tough situation, but also for Senator, he knows he's just putting so much pressure onto this player's porta bunker. It won't be standing for much longer, and Senator, he's got the ammo to blow. He can keep taking these shots and just whittling away.
Oh, gonna hop in the whip. He said, hey, you know what?
He wants the next zone, man.
He's like, this isn't worth it.
It's a pretty far zone to get to, and quick stop at the gas station. Just buy himself a little bit of time, see if he can catch anybody out. But again, Scented already basically on the fringe of the next zone pool. If he's able to actually leverage being ahead of everyone else and get himself situated, doesn't have any porta bunkers left though.
They could find some natural high ground and just kind of hunker down, maybe even behind the car.
I think he wants to maybe look for a porta bunker refresh if he's able to take somebody out who might have been stockpiling them. It's not uncommon for players to have at least 2, 3, sometimes even 4 of them.
Booga gonna, oh my gosh, gonna
Booga
actually blow up the car Scented was using. But gonna switch to the motorcycle and make his escape.
You see that rate of fire though? That is the foundation. That's the mythic.
Yep.
MK7 goes crazy.
I've heard, yeah, it's a fantastic weapon, and like Booga definitely putting it to good use.
Ooh, I mean, we're seeing rags or riches to rags at this point. Poor Somerset does not really have a whole lot to work with here, and it was a high-speed accelerant shotgun. That's one thing, but with a breacher, not necessarily as ideal because at least with that accelerant, you can get a little bit more movement speed and a quicker rate of fire. But again, Somerset, really smart approach using that cliffside to avoid a lot of the action taking place around her. I mean, you could see the noise kind of spread from every which direction there for her. She's got to stay on her toes.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna create some cover and get some of this loot. Just want to make sure you're staying safe. We all know the storm is pulling in, so everyone is just whatever they got to do. Oh, Booga's down. Baka gonna get him underneath the structure. And everyone is doing whatever they can to get to this new eye of the storm. And man, when the storm pulls, you have to move. It's like you don't have a choice. And we saw Booga having to use the shockwave jump to keep ahead of that, and Baka able to just take advantage of a weakened Booga.
That's a huge pickup though for Baka, getting Booga's shockwave launcher there, because now he's not going to have to depend on those shockwave grenades. He's just got an even better utilization there with that shockwave launcher because he can fire it so much further, I think, than what players would be able to throw the shockwave grenades as well. Baka as well, also going to take away Booga's MK7 assault rifle. Cars, so much pressure underneath his base, just trying to
Hey, got a little bit stuck on the corner of the porta bunk there. It's gonna get taken down. Now it's just down to the last 2. Baka getting shockwaved out into the storm, but gonna be able to re-enter here.
I mean, somebody's already done the work for him. This porta bunker has just been chilling, and Baka more than happy to take it over. Hard to be the first one to rotate out, though, especially knowing there's only 2 other players separating between winning and losing. But it's going to be the closing shot there for Baka.
Wow.
Aim check for sure. But the first victory royale collected by Team Agent's very own Baka. Definitely feeling good about that one.
Wow. And yeah, like you said, that porta bunk was just like, it was like it was made for him. It was like it had his name written on it and everything. Just give him that perfect position and give him that opportunity to just get a good engage and get that W. And he's feeling good. You know, the first win of the day, like, hey, it is 5 matches, so it's not over yet, but it is definitely nice to be, hey, you know what? Good start. Good start.
I mean, that's an easy 15 points naturally just off the Victory Royale alone, and then not even factoring in how many eliminations. They didn't get a chance to see his total elim count by the end of that one, but certainly a nice cushion to build in the first game. I think that when it comes to a 5-match competition, you usually want to try and establish yourself by the 3rd match, because then if 4th and 5th don't tend to go your way, because that's where I would expect a lot of players to get a little bit more headstrong aggressive is in those 4th and 5th matches. They weren't necessarily doing that well throughout the day. They know they need a huge performance to really surface on those leaderboards, and again, it's all about the top 3 here, Day.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said earlier, like one match doesn't decide all of it, but it is nice to have that cushion, have that comfort. Because maybe the first one doesn't go your way, but like if the first one did, like in Baca's case, now it's like, okay, the second one might not go, the third one might not go, but like you still have all this time to kind of collect yourself and bring it back. So it'll be cool to see if you're able to maintain this lead, or if you just kind of like coast a little bit, just like plays a bit of a more passive game for the second one, just to kind of to pad the numbers a little bit, but not go for everything really.
I think we saw a lot of our expected candidates, though, in those final moments. I mean, Bugha, had he had just a little bit more time, it's just a really unfortunate circumstance because he's clearly just trying to make his way into the zone. I mean, one more tick would have probably been enough to eliminate him anyway.
It was so tough.
The fact that his immediate find or his immediate reward for getting into the zone was running into Baca, who had just finished utilizing some of his resources to get to practically full HP. I mean, just not much else you could do in that situation.
Yeah, because he shockwaved out of the storm and like all right, just porta bunks right here. I'm excited. I'm gonna hide under here, and then Baca's like, hey, what's up? Oh man, but man, yeah, it was really cool to see all the different strategies that were employed. People took a lot of different routes. Bugha definitely was like just kind of hanging out with the high ground and just picking people off with that sniper rifle. We also saw just, and Baca, man, just great use of cover and able to keep his resources like stocked up, and just really excited to see how the next couple of rounds go.
Of course, and I think at the same time, when you're looking about strategies, you're also thinking about what the players are actually thinking themselves, and that's why we got JD standing by to pick the brains of the competition.
Thanks a lot, Taco and Walt. We have seen some amazing competition this first game, but the chat on Twitch is going crazy for my man Coaster. Coaster, welcome to the esix Summer Showdown. Tell me, how did you hear about this event?
I'm actually a really big fan of Jeffrey and roller coasters and stuff, so I saw it on Twitter and wanted to come out and play for the Goober Gang,
That's incredible. How do you feel? You mentioned you're a big fan of roller coasters. How do you feel about esix being here on site at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, basically combining both of your biggest passions?
I enjoy coming here, and it's actually probably like one of the best things for me as being a fan of coasters and gaming. So I can come here, ride some rides, and then come in here, relax, cool down, and play some games.
Okay, I can't just take your word for it that you actually love roller coasters. So here's a test. What is your favorite roller coaster here at Six Flags Fiesta Texas?
It is definitely Iron Rattler. If it's not Iron Rattler, you're wrong.
Dang, you heard it here. Okay, last question for you. You are having an opportunity here to play with some of the best Fortnite players in the world. What is it like going up against Bugha, Zemi, Somerset, Kazify, and these other pros?
It is exhilarating. It makes me very nervous, but these are some of the people I've been watching for one of the longest times. Bugha winning the World Cup, Zemi being probably the best zero build player, Somerset being probably one of the most popular female streamers. Everyone here is crazy. I'm pumped. It's exciting. It's very exciting.
Well, that's awesome. Good luck in the rest of the games. Let's go look at the leaderboard with Taco and Waltz.
All right, it's man, and honestly, I'm loving all the kids that came out and the fans that showed up. Let's take a look at this leaderboard. Wow, Baca with a pretty large lead, just outside of the 10 differential that I was expecting. But hey, it's still early.
I mean, 10 eliminations though for Baca in game number 1. What a way to set a standard for some of the competition that these pros and creators alike can bring to the board. And even in second place there, I mean, John Fluger, we saw him yesterday in the Speed Race Challenge, and this kid's here to represent yet again.
I was saying, look, maybe there's some overlap. Like, he was able to get, I think was it the number 1 spot in the speed run? And now is in the number 2.
Well, we all got the same prize pool.
That is true. He got top 5 in the speedrun challenge, and now he's right now in the leaderboard top 2 for this zero build creator rumble. So, hey, you know what? Maybe there's some overlap. It could be.
The main thing to keep in mind though is that it's not about how you start; it's about how you finish. So while it can be exciting, I think it's important again because there's always like the mental endurance aspect when it comes to these sort of competitions. But for a lot of these players, you want to make sure that you don't get ahead of yourself. You don't start autopiloting, thinking about, man, I'm already in top 5, I'm already in top 3. I can keep this going for the rest of the day because again, flexibility is really what it's all about. And we already saw the way that a lot of our content creators and pros chose to approach things. I think a lot of them had a lot more of a slow and steady approach. Probably Bully was the only one that I saw really opening up from the get-go, trying to get as active as possible with those early couple of eliminations that we saw from him. But at the same time, if you're looking for a fight, you might just find it.
No, absolutely. And you can't always control all the variables and factors when you take all these fights. So it can lead to some early eliminations on your part. And just things could go sideways. Like we saw towards the end, like Booga had through almost no fault of his own, had to make a really crazy jump, and that cost him his life there. But again, it's gonna be about managing your nerves and also just kind of managing your luck during the rounds. Like, hey, you know what? Someone happened to be behind you or was third party you. It's like, oh well, I mean that happens, but like I need to do a better job of scoping out the surroundings and just making sure I'm in good spots so that these things happen a little bit less frequently.
Yeah, for Baka, I mean, everybody can kind of just take a page out of his book. I mean, we saw him starting off at the Hall of Whispers. He was already in that northern section of the map, and so as the zones continue to develop and continue to pull further and further towards that north side, we saw him every single time. He was just immediately running towards the front side of the zone, and when you're able to get that far ahead of everybody else, you get to stay. You get to force the competition to exactly where you want them to go. So just standout job by him to essentially bottleneck the rest of the lobby.
And Baka is like the definition of right place, right time. He's like, hey, I'm always here. He's like, oh man, when'd you get here?
Yeah, I mean, Team Agent's watching, so he better be.
No, absolutely. It's incredible to see just his use of those porta bunks and just being in such ridiculously good spots. And it's like almost, it's like people just toss you. It's like they have to just throw themselves into your welcome embrace. It's like, man, they're like people are just forced to be at your mercy because of this really strong position that you're setting up for yourself. And it'll be interesting if they will just continue this momentum, or if maybe some other players will be able to kind of tap into that strength. But right now, everyone just kind of in between rounds here, trying to do the in between round ritual, just making sure they can kind of decompress from the previous game, kind of take the lessons you want to learn from that game, and just kind of wipe away all the, oh man, I should have went this way, should have went that way, and just moving on. Because sometimes that's the hardest part, just being able to just move on and play at the level that you know you can.
Yeah, I mean, granted, also want to make sure that everybody has equal opportunity here too. So definitely don't mind spending that little bit extra time just to ensure that everyone is actually set, everyone's making it onto the battle bus, everyone's getting their opportunity to drop here into game number 2, because it will be coming up shortly, and we are still doing everything for the day 2 of the Summer Showdown, guys, right here at the esix gaming facility, presented by Coca-Cola, and inside a Six Flags Fiesta Texas. I mean, this building, if the scenery itself and the shots aren't enough to convince you, I promise you, you will not be disappointed if you stop by. In case you decide, if you're local to the area or if you're visiting San Antonio by any means, Six Flags Fiesta Texas is definitely where it's at. And I love the interview that JD had just now, because Iron Rattler, I would easily say that's one of my favorite rides here too.
No, for sure. It's a classic too. Like, man, roller coasters. I remember there was a time when I was a lot younger, and it came to Six Flags, and we were. It was more of a disappointing day, but for some reason we weren't able to get in. We had no tickets or whatever, and we were all just sitting there like sad. And I'm like, man, it'd be so good to be on a roller coaster right now. But now, hey, we're all here getting able to.
I see, you didn't have tickets. I didn't have the height. That was my problem. They wouldn't let me on the rides.
No, I've never really. Yeah, I've always been a little on the taller side, so I've been a little blessed to be able to hop onto the rides. But hey, you know what? Hey, Fortnite does not discriminate based on height, so you can definitely hop into the lobbies, get some games in regardless. But yeah, no, it's really important that we have this time in between for this break, right? So you can go to the bathroom, get a little water, text your loved ones, make sure they're okay, and just refocus for the next.
I just tell everybody I'm first anyway.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh sweetheart, how you doing? Oh, I'm winning. Yeah, I'm number 1. Don't check.
Until they ask you about what the prize pool's at.
Oh, so it was no prize pool today. It was only the prizes for everybody except for first place. Yeah, it's reverse prizing. That's how they're doing it today.
But man, these guys, you can definitely tell that game one was a great intro, essentially, because I would expect that as far as the creators and pros are concerned, for a lot of these guys, they're used to being in those sort of like hyper situations. And as far as zero build is concerned as well, I mean, all of these guys have had their opportunities to dabble every which way. But for the fans here today, I mean, you really get some insight into just how much of a momentum shift being in a lobby with content creators at this high level of gameplay and pros can really make a difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, and maintaining composure throughout this whole event is going to be a real challenge, but I'm excited to see if some of these fans can continue this momentum, and if even Baka is able to maintain his position here on the leaderboard. It'll be interesting to see how the strategies change from match to match. I'm wondering where we're going to be dropping. That's going to be interesting to see.
Well, it depends on whether or not some players might even be choosing to switch their initial drop spot from game one. I mean, it's not exactly the most orthodox tactic, but we have seen players in the past just choose to try and swap at the drop spot every which way. And right now, with the direction the battle bus seems to be approaching, on that southern side, wonder if we're going to have any hot drops straight off into the relentless retreat. If so, can definitely expect a little bit of action to take place there at one of those new POIs. And as far as Baka's concerned, though, I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe tries to swing his way back over to the north side of the map.
Yeah, you never know where the storm's going to be. The eye of the storm is going to be consolidating. So it's really interesting to. That's another factor that you can't really control, but you have to adapt to really quickly, right? So Baka was able to stay ahead of the storm and ahead of the other players, but who knows how things are going to unfold in this game.
Looks like he wants to spread his way over near Icy Islets, I believe. And Baka, no, continuing his trajectory just a little bit further, yeah. But
okay.
It looks like he's going to have a little bit of a situation here because he's trying to make sure that he can get some shots going. But that having suppressed Sarrival, not the easiest way to take over with the first elim.
A lot of good shots like early on. Gonna actually get an early elimination. Is able to get this high ground. Is just melting down players. Running out of ammo though. This just goes to show you how early it is. It's a little bit chaotic right now, folks. But still keeping the pressure on, not giving them any room to breathe. Gonna be able to loot up a little bit, get some shields. Baka, it's a hot start here already with one elimination under his belt. Let's see if he's able to continue this and just maintain this pressure he's already created. All right, gonna be able to shield up a little more. Get the knuckle crack here. Pretty safe in this building at the moment. Just gonna go ahead and build up some of his resources. Gonna switch over to Somerset. Over in the Breakwater Bay. Someone might be outside. Gonna go ahead and take a look, a quick peek. Organize that inventory here. Oh, yep, we have movement, folks. All right, get a few tags on him. Gonna have to be careful. No shields right now. Gonna go ahead and shockwave out. Gonna get that quick relocation. Just disengage completely because that could have went sideways. But gonna get some of that slurp juice. Shields are a little bit healthier than before. Gonna look for this re-engage right now. Oh, it's gonna be a rooftop fight. Gonna need to get over that ridge. Gonna duck into the roof of that house. Summer's gonna try to keep this pressure on. Oh, there it is. Catches the perfect angle. Gonna get that elimination off the side of the roof, getting to the side of that cover there. All right, we're switching over to Paris. Just north of Flappy Shores. Has a pretty good loadout right now. Got the shockwaves, a couple porta bunks. and a little extra shield flip juice just in case gets tagged out in the open here. But not gonna have to worry about that for right now. Might even be able to land a vehicle if he needs to travel far, but I think it's gonna keep on the move. All right. He's gonna get a quick hire there. Got some rocket rams, but already full inventory, so he's gonna leave those alone. Still looking pretty good. Switching over to Bully's point of view. All the way to the south of the map, just isolated.
Bully's just waiting for his time to shine, man. I mean, we know that he's definitely more than capable as far as securing eliminations is concerned. It's just, I think Bully wanting to make sure that while he's busy handling one fight, he doesn't get caught up with somebody just making that third party get pushed from behind.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, Zemi's just looking down the sky. That was kind of startling. Ooh.
It's always funny when you get the inside of the bush point of view, just because of the fact that it is actually really difficult to see someone sitting in the middle of these bushes. That's why you'll oftentimes see players running by. They'll make sure to shoot at the bushes just to try and be sure that no one is trying to utilize this tactic like we're seeing out of Zemi here.
Yeah, and while it is a good cover as far as like visibility, if they do shoot into the bush, it will just go straight through and hit you. So it's a good strategy, but it also carries some risk due to what you just mentioned. All right, Booga, Sanguine Sweets.
He's got so much ammo as well for that Foundations MK7 assault rifle, and that just means all the more potency from Booga as far as wanting to just quickly either eliminate someone or quickly break their structure.
Able to get a pretty solid loadout again in this game. We saw last game, he also had a pretty good equipment then too. Just gonna see if he can able to get a chance to use it and not get caught by that storm.
I mean, it is surprising still, though, to see him get Sanguine Sweets completely uncontested, but at the same time, I would imagine that it's largely due to the fact that because of the fact that this is a 54-player lobby, it does provide a little bit more area in general for players to try and make their approach, because sure, it's always funny, you know, you get to land on your favorite content creator, you get to see if you can challenge it, but it is Booga at the end of the day. I mean, it's Booga. Do you really want to be risking it all in a competition of this capacity against Booga?
Yeah, and hey, even when you do, I mean, and you get eliminated, it's like, all right, well, I guess now you're waiting for the next match. So there is some risk involved. So.
Looks like Scented maybe want to check out some of those forecast towers, get himself a little bit of leverage in terms of understanding where those next zones are going to be pulling. There's a handful of those bosses sprinkled across the map. And, yep, immediately takes his truck straight away, forecast towers. And again, now he'll have full knowledge as far as where these future zones are going to be pulling.
All right, Scented going to have a bit of an advantage when it comes to the storm now, but let's see if he's able to. Got car versus car right now. I'm like Fast and Furious. Hold on. All right, he's cranking some tunes.
That in-game radio going crazy.
It's going insane. All right, delete some of these bushes.
Seems as though Scented's primary goal here was just to collect that forecast tower. And can't blame him. I mean, that's definitely a really strong advantage to have. So from here on out, it's mostly just going to be about him rolling around, and if he sees an opportunity that's optimal for him to look for a possible elimination, I would expect him to you know, seek it out. But at the same time, when you know where those zones are going to be falling, especially future zones at that, you can just put yourself in such great positioning. We saw just how much of a difference it makes for the likes of Baka even in game 1. So Senton definitely trying to showcase. He's not the only one from Agent that can put on a show.
No, 100%. And like, yeah, the way that Baka was able to get in those good positions, Senton's gonna have that same opportunity in this game if he's able to wait for those opportunities and to stay alive, stay in the game long enough. So he's gonna probably be playing a little bit safer as far as like finding fights. But once the storm starts moving, he's definitely gonna be able to pick off some stragglers. Oliver OG doing a Dukes of Hazzard maneuver. Oh man, all right, got the cash. Oh,
And
under fire though.
already.
Ooh.
So you want to keep the car going as long as possible, but Oliver OG, he's going to have to use the ditch tactic at this point. That car just completely ripped to shreds. Oliver OG didn't want to find himself inside of it when they did take it out, but he's got to keep an eye on his cash now. He was able to start the recovery process, but still has to go through that protection method. Sniper Striker augment being considered. Sprint lines as well. Doesn't really have any gold either for a reroll, so it's going to be sprint lines. So at least getting, a little bit extra perks as far as grind rails or vines are concerned. Haven't really seen him get an opportunity to spend too much time inside of that jungle biome even, but the sprint lines can definitely go a long way in a clutch circumstance.
No, definitely. And right now, it's being able to secure this cash right now and fight out whoever is contesting him is going to be really important. But I know he's definitely feeling the tension. And maybe they just completely abandoned the area because, hey, you know what?
It's really he just didn't get to reroll. I think he would have 100% rerolled for separate augments. But when you're that tight on gold, I mean, you got to work with what you got because you don't want to just leave those augments sitting there forever. Because every little bit can make a difference.
No, for sure.
He does have the zip line available for him as well, so I guess that's one way to utilize.
Yeah, okay.
A couple of backflips.
What game are we playing again?
That's quality of zero builds.
Oh man, this is great. All right, see if we can loot up, just find a better spot to be at. I mean, he's in Mega City. Usually people are kind of congregate here, but right now looking like pretty barren. Has a lot of grind rails at his disposal for sure, so definitely getting use out of that augment.
And I can already see that extra little boost coming through for Oliver OG. Straight into the new whip, another Nitro Fang for the pizza edition that he'll get at his disposal. The question is whether or not he's going to be able to keep this car alive just a little bit longer in comparison to his last one.
Yeah, people have a grudge against cars, it seems.
I would too. I mean, they are definitely annoying to deal with, especially when somebody is just sitting at their cash waiting to collect the loot.
Yeah.
I feel kind of bad for Oliver in this circumstance, though, because he didn't even necessarily get an opportunity to look for that cash. It was just too far out in the open. He didn't want to expend any of his resources, but those legendary slurp juices, I mean, that's the real prize sitting inside of those caches.
Yeah. And yeah, we see Bully with 2 of those of his own, so looking pretty good. Getting some peeking out of this bush. Got a porta bunker just sitting around. Just kind of waiting for something to happen here.
See, that's the thing, though, for Bully is that he knows he wants to just bide his time, doesn't want to find himself necessarily getting eliminated as early as last time. But again, if you're not under pressure, if you're sitting right on the edge of zone, you've got prime opportunity to prevent anybody else from making their direction.
Oh, absolutely. He's gonna take it a slow and steady approach, and just let the people come to him. Definitely want to play a little more conservative. See if he can pull out the victory in this one. All right, Booga got someone in his sights. They're gonna get covered, but he is able to get some damage on them. Has a good vantage point here. That's something that we've seen very consistently from Booga. He's able to find these good spots. Able to get a good view, almost 360 degrees every time. making sure to keep his movement ambiguous, even at range. That's something that you see in a lot of the better players, the pros especially. You want to keep moving, even if no one's is currently in your vicinity. That way, if someone's trying to snipe you, it makes the shot all the harder to hit. All right. He got some really good outs here. He could bounce away. He has the rail, the zip line. He could get out in a lot of different ways. So right now he's in a really good spot. He's got a good elevation, and also the legendary slurps on deck. He's switching. He's switching up his augments right now. Not too much gold, but just enough. All right, Baka is got his own sniper's perch here. All right, Baka here with another good spot. The storm eye is gonna shrink here in a little bit, but he's just maintaining his position and standing his ground. All right, Baka watching and waiting.
And he's back inside the whip, taking the truck. A little bit more of a cruise. Baka knows he's got a great opportunity here, though. If he's able to have a repeat performance from game one, to really set himself apart from the rest. Fortunately for him, inside the truck, and that plant is popped.
He's under fire.
It's not even the truck itself that's under fire. It's literally just Baka taking some huge damage to his shields. Definitely on high alert now.
Gonna have to porta bunk immediately. Trying to heal up a little bit. Man, huge chunking down. Looks like Booga was responsible. Gosh. Baka, after being #1 in the winning it last time, gonna get ticked down quite a bit. He's gonna have to figure out a way to get out of this sticky situation here.
It's that mid-range level, though. Anytime you're within that mid-range of that mythic MK7, it is such a potent weapon. I mean, Booga as well. That accuracy, so detrimental for Baka, because now Baka, trapped inside a creaky compound, wants to look for a way out, but Booga knows he's inside of that building. He's got a great chance here now to kind of just force Baka to wait even longer inside of the storm, not be able to prioritize any sort of good positioning. And Booga actually seems like he's forfeited keeping that pressure on Baka. It looks as though he prioritized positioning instead, but still smart of him to push Baka back like he did, because now Booga has ample time to just set up this porta bunker base like we just saw him do.
And the funny thing is, Baka isn't aware of Booga's movement, so he still has to play cautiously and kind of keep in mind that someone could still be watching and waiting. And all the while, it's just...
And 2-tick storm, it starts to add up pretty quick. The slurp plants, sure, they're going to help you out a little bit, but that 25 HP every so often can only go so far. And Baka knows that the further he gets away from this jungle biome as well, the further he gets from Creaky Compound, the less of those slurp plants that he's going to be able to actually try and utilize. So he's trying to stay on the current path for them, trying to hover around them for the next push into the zone.
And it's really cool because, like, just the mere the pressure, the initial pressure that Booga laid on, is he had to basically just like forfeit any and all safety and ran headlong into the storm. So it's interesting the effects that even a little bit of pressure can have just due to the implications of it. All right, but Baka gonna try to make his way back into the zone. Booga got a nice little fort here he built up.
keeping an eye on that rift
Oh, yeah.
more than ever. Doesn't want anybody being able to land on top of him. Nice little chunk of shield.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be able to take out, but won't be able to stay locked on his target forever. That
so-
tree line just barely giving enough coverage.
He's putting in work with his MK7, getting like 80 on someone who's just like floating down to the ground, and his tracking on these players has been really good. All right, gonna go ahead and relocate from his Portabunk fort.
He just wants to be the first next into zone. That's the main idea here. Bugha, especially being such a high-end level pro, he knows just how important it is to make sure that you continue to stay ahead of these zone pools. And the sooner you get in and establish a good position, whether it's on the edge of zone or the center of zone, either way. Playing edge of zone, though, it's going to depend a little bit more on getting some lucky RNG out of those next zone pools, but Bugha still has a Portabunker at his disposal, so he'll be more than happy to drop it down. He's got a great spot.
Except Pards has the shot on him.
Bars is a better spot.
Pards said, I've been here for a while. You know, I'm glad y'all could finally join me. Welcome to my domain.
I mean, zipline too for a quick getaway in case he has that sprint lines augment as well. I'm not sure if that's Bugha. It might be Bugha, recognizing that he's not safe like he initially believed. So he's looking to relocate, maybe even looking to close the gap between himself and Pars.
Oh, firing
Apply some
back
steady
though.
pressure. Can't let Pars have freebies.
True. Pards like, oh yeah, just keep running around. All right, gonna lay down into this vehicle right now. Trying to get some shots on. Oh, that's like a.
It looks like it might have been Bugha's. Well, it doesn't. I don't think it was Bugha's truck necessarily, but either way, that gesture can only mean one thing.
Yeah.
And that's that Bugha is no longer participating in round 2 here. Pars might not be either if he isn't careful. Shockwave grenade gonna buy him some time, but dinged straight out of the air. A clean elimination. Pars doesn't even get a basket in his glory for more than a second.
And such a good elimination too. He was able to get Bugha through the vehicle. Just the perfect aim to.
It's Baka.
And Baka's back.
Baka took over Pars' spot. Baka was the one who forced Pars out of there in the first place. Granted, Baka's gonna have to get a move on himself, given where that next zone is just pulled to, but Pars, knowing that it's Baka preying on his own downfall, that has got to hurt.
All right, and another elimination with Baka under his belt. Just steamrolling right now. And laser focus, like look at him, he's ready.
Baka certainly.
Oh, even with the rocket ram, still gonna get some shots off. And with the storm pulling in, Baka's gonna need to relocate here pretty soon.
More like he's gonna relocate the competition back to the lobby and wait for game number 3's battle bus, because Baka getting word here, that was actually Zemi we saw trying to take a trip on that rocket ram, but instead, again, Baka just sending everyone
back to the
packing. He is. It looks as though Baka's trying to send a message more than anything else, because it's now down to a 1 versus 1 possibility here, because Baka, he knows, or he might not know, but it's still scented, that seems to be aware of the fact that there is a player terrorizing the lobby currently, and Scented wants to be the one to take him out.
Yeah, and this is gonna be tough because once this storm pulls in again, they're gonna have to make some rapid movement. But right now, Baka just with a really good vantage point on Scented. Even though he has that bunker, he's gonna have to deal with this eventually because he has plenty of ammo. Gonna keep laying into that structure until there is nothing to hide behind. Switching up the augment.
It looks as though Baka might be trying to set up a position to utilize that rocket ram. Because again, it's not a guaranteed rotation by any means. These guys can definitely track through that rotation mobility that the rocket ram might provide. Bully though, rather late into the lobby, can't sleep on him by any means, and Bully did a great job, great take so far into the zone. Knows he's got pressure directly to his left. Baka now making his move with the Rocket Ram approach, getting dinged in the air, but will find his landing. The Porta Bunker 2 gonna buy him some time.
Ooh, get some shots off. Not too much damage, but able to clip him a little bit. Gets that high ground. And he's just gonna Porta Bunk up to get a good vantage point.
I mean, just look at the player cams though. Scented, he's taking the headset off.
Yeah.
That means he's out. That can only ever mean that you're out if you don't want your headset on at this point. Baka now trying to see if he can close himself with yet another victory royale. It might be Bully still left trying to pressure him forward. It is a 1v1 situation here between Bully and Baka. Bully trying to take over. Bully showing him what's good here in game number 2 of Victory Royale. He will not let Baka take this one.
Absolutely, man. The head-to-head at the end, he's on the tree canopy. Just got able to jump down and get the jump on Baka and take the victory royale. Man, wow. So down to the wire, and Baka trying to get 2 in a row.
That's a massive shutdown as well, because it certainly prevents Baka from being able to catapult himself into a pretty cozy lead. If you ask me if he'd been able to collect another victory royale, but Bully all smiles for sure, feeling really good. You can see that slowdown. That's the adaptation that I was talking about, where you want to see players, I mean, we know he's more than capable of collecting eliminations, but you don't want to get too quickly ahead of yourself because, again, you're depending on other people not trying to make the same approach as you.
Absolutely. And we saw with Bully, he was more focused on getting into those good spots. Right? He was, I know I got the forecast going. All I got to do is get there before they do, and they're going to have to run into me. I'm going to have a good spot.
And again, the thing about Bully and the way that he was able to finalize on those last couple of instances, he just took full advantage of Baka. I mean, again, you recognize, hey, there's somebody directly next to me. They both saw themselves on those rotations, and both of them immediately. But I love the fact that Bully just made sure to get that slight overhead point of view. Just really good utilization of his materials and of his general loot pool, but still a great attempt though out of Baka trying to get that repeat.
Yep. I mean, hey, it just goes to show like that consistency, that repeatability, being able to get basically the top 2 like twice in a row. That definitely speaks to his consistency and ability to recreate those factors that led to that first victory to begin with. Man, and you know what? Hey, you didn't win, but I still see the fire.
Yeah, we'll get a chance to peep those leaderboards to see how everything's actually panning out after game number 2. But again, now is the time where I think some of the pressure might start to surface for some of our other competitors, because if you're not Bully, if you're not Baka, and you don't have that victory royale, you have to remember, well, I've got to play point catch up somewhere, and game number 3, somewhat of a halfway point.
Yeah,
Since it's only 5 games, there isn't technically a true halfway point just yet, but game number 3 would definitely be a great way to kind of entry yourself onto the leaderboard.
Oh no, absolutely. It's like at this point, if you don't kind of make your mark around now, this game 3, it's going to be really challenging to kind of bring it all the way back in those games 4 and 5, because people just have these big leads, and there's only so many points you can realistically get in the game. Once you just, and it's not even feasible to go on like wipe everyone on the map. You got.
Well, I don't know. Then again, what we saw out of Baka, I mean, that was what, like 4 or 5 eliminations in a row. He was on a rampage for a second there. It did not look like anybody was going to be able to shut him down. You could even see that pain in Pars's face too. He knew it as soon as his back was turned. The fact that it's his own org mate taking him out gotta hurt just a little bit, but at the same time, and that's what makes this all the more fun, because you never really know who might just be sneaking up on you.
No, yeah, 100%. And it's cool because like this free-for-all style is definitely different. And even though you are teammates, it's like, hey, it's everyone for themselves, and it's just important for you to be able to like not take it personally in a way. It's like, hey, you know what? Hey, it is what it is, right?
Of course, but again, you guys have heard from us about how game number 2 is shaping out. We want to hear more from JD and the players out there.
All right, we are here with Sam, who is the VP of Design and Innovation for Six Flags, trying to get a little bit more insight on why Six Flags built esix. Sam, what is this all about?
Well, as you know, John, this has been a passion project for me for many, many years. You know, we had the opportunity to, you know, reach out to the community, find out what they wanted, and we really felt like, you know, gaming is what our guests want. They love coasters, but everybody's a gamer, right? Everybody loves gaming as well. And we kind of felt like the community themselves didn't really have a home. So we kind of thought, let's build a home for the, you know, especially the local high schools, the small colleges, give them an opportunity and a great place to play. So why not at Six Flags? We've got everything. We've got the rides, the attractions, food, retail. We've got this incredible, beautiful facility, some incredible, great players here. So we're super excited about this.
It makes a lot of sense. You know, every kid nowadays is a gamer. Talk a little about at Fiesta Texas, what you're doing specifically for the San Antonio community around gaming.
Well, you know, there's a lot more than just gaming in this industry. And, you know, one of the things we wanted to do is we wanted to be really true to the gamers and also open the doors for other opportunities. You know, right across the street from us is the University of Texas San Antonio. Those guys are great. We actually went across the street, talked to those guys, and actually employed a lot of those guys. They actually run our facility here today. So all the Roadrunner gaming guys are actually here to help everyone. So we have pro gamers, we have these college gamers, actually gamers helping gamers. And we just felt like there's a whole lot more than just the gaming. These guys are learning how to operate a facility. They're learning how to do the IT side of it. They're learning a lot about the business end of this whole entire thing. So it's really helping, I think, the community. It's helping the kids across the street, and it actually helps us, and it's a win-win for everyone.
So this location, esix at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, powered by Coca-Cola, this is the first facility that is built in all of the parks. What does the future of esix look like?
Well, not only is it in all the parks, as far as we know, our partnership with Coca-Cola and esix, this is the first type of facility in the world in a theme park. So we're kind of breaking new ground, obviously learning a lot of cool new things, and we really have the future in mind. We want to really keep building the community of gamers, give them opportunities. We're actually about to open our next big esix facility. It'll open it at our park in about 2 or 3 weeks in Mexico City. So it's a huge opportunity for there. We have some smaller facilities at some of our other parks like New Jersey and Chicago and Dallas. So we want to grow. We want to help the community and hope those guys will help us grow as well.
That's incredible. Walton, Taco, you heard it from Sam here from Six Flags. This incredible event is just the beginning of esports at Six Flags with Coca-Cola. Back to you.
Oh man, we love that. And honestly, I'm really excited to see where esix kind of goes in the future and how it kind of evolves and develops, because the collegiate space is so cool to see them get tied in, and I just love to see it.
And even going past the collegiate level, I mean, when you break things even further down to even like the high school level as well, I think that venues like this one here at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, I mean, it's not every day. Not everybody can necessarily have a computer in their own home. So if you want a fun, great gaming space to kind of venture off to, I mean, esix game facility, powered by Coca-Cola right here at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, this is a great way to kind of intro people. And even if you're not necessarily the most PC savvy or the most console savvy, I mean, there is just so much to be done inside of this actual venue. I mean, especially when you factor in, there's got the VIP lounge upstairs, on top of the fact that there even is the private streaming room. So if you want to figure out how to kickstart your career, you want to dabble a little bit yourself, I mean, this is just such a wonderful space to get to utilize.
No, yeah, definitely. And the cool thing about a space like this is there's so many people to help to make it possible that you can find whatever niche you fall into. It's not just, oh, you have to be a caster, you have to be a streamer, you have to be this or that. Like, you could be in production, you can be behind the camera, you can be like organizing people who are behind the camera. It's like there's so many different avenues that like you can just, hey, what all can a person do, you know, in the esports field, and you can just learn and find your spot, find your place, and just, you know, just figure out where you fit in.
Bringing everything back, though, to our competition. Say bowling, Somerset. Exchange a couple of words here. A couple of tips and tricks, possibly. But we do have the leaderboard up and running. You can see, even with Bully's Victory Royale, Baca still boasting that 42 points over everybody else. And the drop-off looking relatively steep so far between first, second, and third. I mean, these leads could definitely continue to climb here, Waltz, if these players aren't careful. But man, big shout outs again to John there.
Yeah.
Again, one more time. We saw him yesterday being one of our prize winners from the Speed Race Challenge, and so to still be holding down that third place with the likes of Pars, Scented, Somerset, Booga, they're all in our top 10. And then John Andrew Martinez as well in 6th place trying to represent.
There it is. And yeah, and all these kills besides, because Bullet got that 15 from the Battle Royale, and Baka got the 15 as well. And so you gotta realize, like, all these kills, all these points that they have is from eliminations, just purely. So they're putting in the work. They just have to kind of get that kind of advantage, that positioning, and to make it all the way to the end to get that real big payout with that 15 points for getting the victory in the end. So it's a little interesting. I'm obviously Baka got 17 eliminations last round. So it's one of those things where not only was he on track to get just a ton of points from eliminations, he's also on track to win the round entirely. So definitely Bully saved it, because that would have been a huge lead, probably almost impossible to overcome. So it's a close race right now. It's a close race between Bully and Baka. I'm wondering if one of the two are going to get the next morale, or if it's going to be someone else we haven't seen yet.
Well, as far as Bully is concerned, he seems like he really found his recipe for success in game number 2 here. The question is whether or not he can continue to make the same dish for us here today in game number 3. Everybody dropping off the battle bus, and I think that right about now, game 3 is really where the approach becomes how well you can find your own rhythm necessarily. And for somebody like Bully, who's coming off a victory royale there in game 2, this could be a great opportunity for him to essentially set himself into that nice little momentum swing of having just the game wins in his favor.
No, that 100%. And we're just gonna see a nice steady descent, just taking it easy. Doesn't seem like anyone's in the vicinity, but still gonna take a look, because that's incredibly important.
Yeah, he's been liking that Steamy Springs location. Can't blame him when you're able to find a victory royale in the first place. And what I'm curious about is where exactly zones 4 and 5 are going to pull. You have to also keep in mind, Scented there, you have to remember, he was able to get the forecast towers at his disposal in the last match, and we saw him there in our top 5 of the last match as well. So hard not to think that those weren't able to have a little bit of an impact on his game.
No, for sure. Definitely getting that information coming in earlier than other players gives you that slight advantage, so you can get to spots faster and just get set up. Because a lot of the time it's just who got there first and who has a better position. And if you have a little advance notice, then you're just able to get a little bit of an edge on your competitors.
Also for Bully, if he's lucky enough to get a Keymaster augment early on, he'll get his choice at the hollow chests that are available over there by Steamy Springs as well. So definitely something that he might be keeping an eye out for. And Baka here, though, he is far, far north of the map. I mean, about as north as you could possibly want to go in Northeast Territory. I almost wonder if Baka might be hoping for an opportunity to maybe try and pressure out some of his other competitors towards that side.
No, yeah, we'll have to wait and see here. Looks like Somerset's got an engagement here. Gonna stay undercover, see if she can get some kind of vantage point.
Just breaking through some of these floors, creating some openings to work with. Also wanted to make sure that she can get a chance to pick out some of the loot. Good return fire from Somerset. That right side peek again.
Boom.
Did not pan out so well for the other player, though, across the way. Likely going to have to use some of their shield resources if they have them, but Somerset with that slash, that boosted momentum.
Oh.
Nice overhead view, great pressure downwards. Only needs one more shot to connect, and she will find it.
There it is.
And that's about as quick and easy as they come, just completely turning the tides in her favor.
Yeah, and definitely making good use of the space and just taking her time, not necessarily jumping in because she had advantage. Just, hey, you know what? Hey, I got a good shot. I got time to reload.
Yeah, and that infiltrator is not necessarily the easiest foam shotgun to use either, so really well calculated by Somerset there. Close that one out in a timely manner. just going to go ahead and utilize that shield potion, get that last little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, even though you're like pretty much at max, you still want to just like be fooled out. That way, if you see another one, you can just grab it and keep going, and not have to deal with it later. All right, Kaz, just cruising on a Sunday afternoon. Ooh.
Yeah, Kaz doing what he can. Doesn't really seem as though any of our players are really all that lavish with gold, so augment rerolls gonna be tough to come by. But right as I say that, nice little gold stimmy there for Kazify.
Call it the commentator's blessing. You've been blessed, Kaz.
Yeah, when you use the curse against yourself, you know. If I say he doesn't have gold, obviously he's gonna find more of it.
Yeah, they had the reversal. That's new tech. All right, just looting up. Make sure to keep his eye on the horizon.
Again, no one really in a rush to find any sort of early engagements. I think the message has kind of been sent loud and clear that you want to have as much of your resources as possible by the time you get to those final couple of zones, because it's vicious out there, man. I mean, the way that a lot of these players are starting to catch on to the fact too of like using shockwave launchers or shockwave grenades to displace other competition, it can be really tough to actually work your way out on some of these high pressure situations, and the congestion as well can really start to build in some of these areas as those zones continue to close.
No, for sure. And those shockwaves are really good because it kind of just, you have great cover, you have great positioning, and then it just forces you out of it, and then you're just a sitting duck. Especially for someone who has good tracking on aerial targets, you're just getting melted down, and like, oh, well.
Well, some players even shockwaving, in some instances, a little bit further than they wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
So you can tell, they start eating those late game zone damage ticks, and you're a goner.
Yeah.
You don't even have to worry about people taking shots at you. I mean, you got to worry about the storm itself.
No, absolutely. And we saw some of that in the last match. But, you know, sometimes those unfortunate things happen. You just got to kind of keep rolling with it. Ooh.
That's that bush tactic, wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
And no one's lurking. Zemi can tell somebody was here. Who knows how long ago, but either way, it seems as though he might be making an approach to where he could be finding someone just slightly ahead of him.
Yeah. We're just gonna take this early storm take damage. Not too crazy.
There's only one right now,
Yeah.
so this is kind of the time where you can afford to.
I'm not quite done with this area yet. Just want to relax and take my time. Got the heals on deck.
Yeah, the mid is going to make it real easy for him to just continue to prioritize being able to ensure that he grabs everything he could possibly want from this location. And again, I don't blame him. It's going to take you some time to solo loot out Sanguine Sweets. I mean, but this is the kind of position that you'd want to be in.
Okay, it's gonna go straight. Oh,
straight to the rift.
Straight to the rift. The OG himself. Gonna get some of these odds. Oh, not enough bars to reroll, but it's gonna switch over.
I like some of these augment choices though. Coming out of Oliver OG, seems like he really wants to take advantage of, again, what map availability is like when it comes to water or fishing spots, and that mud especially. I think mud augment is always one of my favorites because it can just be slightly overlooked depending on what part of the map you're actually in. But based off where these zone pools go, if it starts to head a little bit more towards that jungle biome direction, I mean, Oliver OG could be in a great spot with that mud warrior.
Absolutely. I know the good spot in general has a lot of access to different mobility options. Obviously high ground, just gonna keep moving. Just make sure to get this loot up while the getting is good. Yeah, it's like you mentioned earlier. Everyone's kind of just trying to take a slightly more passive approach. Just, hey, you know what? My bad. I know you were in here. I'm gonna head that way.
Opening the wrong door.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, this is awkward. I didn't know you were looting here. I'm gonna head to the next building. Why don't you you can carry on. I'll meet you at the final zone. Oh,
Ooh.
Didn't actually get a shot off in the bush. Pars. Oh, man, that bush tech is definitely coming to play.
It's just players with as much experience like what Pars has to boot. It's very, very common knowledge that players love lurking inside those bushes in zero builds. And Pars is not willing to take any chances. If he's driving by a bush, he doesn't want somebody behind him, because if you clear out people, then you don't have to worry about your south side approach, or as you continue traveling further west, further northwest, and Pars doesn't seem like his intention is to spend any time with that cache just yet. Recognizes that there's too many people kind of threatening that direct area, so he's just gonna keep moving.
Hey, you had that fortunate occurrence with the you check the bush, and like it's like when you check the door to see, make sure it's locked. You walk to your car like, oh, did I lock it? But he checked the bush. There was someone in there, and now it's gonna fuel every single subsequent bush check moving forward. But definitely gonna not take that for granted. Just gonna keep moving, not want to get too caught up with all the people that were in that area.
It seems as though he's really trying to get a central positioning. That way, regardless of which direction the zone tends to pull next, he'll be able to make a quick rotation to try and utilize some solid positioning later on. Scented here, just trying to fill out all those augments that he's been saving up.
Yep.
And the priority focus has been on just acquiring as much resources and loot as possible. No time to stop by the gym.
Nope, not today. You got more important things. You're at Summer Showdown.
Hey, I like that holo chest usage though. Definitely gonna be a nice pickup there for Scented. Summer's meanwhile though, we saw her in a battle earlier on. She was able to turn it in her favor, of course. Quick 180 on the player that was trying to attack her, but seems as though she might be struggling a little bit as far as her heals are concerned. Could be a good look for her to try and find a refresh opportunity for somebody else's loot. Maybe they've got some better items that she can try and make work of.
Yeah, it's tough to be now in the open with basically half health and half shields, but
Slurp Plant's one way to resolve the issue.
Yep. There it is. Summer definitely using good map knowledge, getting her heals wherever she can. And the slaps.
Every little bit counts though at this point.
Man, good looks. Looking out in the front, behind, just keeping her eyes peeled. Just make sure no one gets a jump on her. Even though you're at full health, you still don't want to waste it. You don't want to squander what you just got back. Plus, you want to build on that as well.
Definitely doesn't want to stick in the same place for too long, especially without a vehicle. At least with the vehicle, you can afford maybe spend a little bit more time kind of just parked up in one area before actually deciding to make your next move. For Somerset, she knows she's just got to stay on the hustle. Some of these trees, though, could provide some nice natural coverage, but they could also work against her. I mean, you never know when players are going to be trying to sit inside of those canopies or sitting right on top of the trees. Very common tactic as well in zero builds, but
speaking of, right?
Somerset seems like she's starting to approach a little bit more the location she wants, and that Rift Island could be a great place to start.
Yep. Good elevation, and if no one's up there already, you might be able to just be uncontested for a little bit. Oliver OG doing what he can. It's kind of
he's in disguise right now.
Yeah, a little bit. Incognito. Gotta hide the history. Tracking someone's pulling up. Gonna just again.
If you don't need to forfeit your positioning, then don't. I like the discipline there from Oliver OG. I mean, sure, you can look for the engagement if you want to, but why risk it?
Yeah, it's like
why let other people know?
Yeah, and it's like that whole sleeping dogs fly mindset, right? Oh, Looks like Bully's gonna get a kill here. It's like, why would you don't necessarily need to force every single engage that you see. It's like, hey, if I don't have to, maybe I just don't need to do that. Plus, they have a vehicle, so they do have a slight advantage here. We're basically on equal footing as far as the elevation goes. So it could turn into a 50-50 fight when you could have just said, hey, you know what? I know where you are. You don't know where I am.
Well, for Oliver, I think in that circumstance, the concern is less on the player in the vehicle and a lot more on just who might be lurking nearby
True.
for the lobby. Because the moment you hear shots going off, if you're not able to close out those fights as quickly as what we've seen the likes of Bully being able to accomplish, for example, or even Somerset, you can bet that there's going to be somebody else come running looking for a chance to just clean things up when you least expect it.
Yeah, I know, and it's nice that you mentioned that, because having that awareness to know if the fight is going to be able to resolve quickly, it's like, he's driving literally the opposite direction. If I tag him a little bit, either he drives away or he comes back. But regardless, I have to melt down the car and then work on him. So it's just a lot. It's too much, and it's going to be a drawn-out engagement potentially. So it's like, you know what? Let's just keep it classy. You mind your business, I'll mind mine. We'll just hang out.
No, this is a very different zone pool in general.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen the far north. We've seen a little bit less north, but all the way west just about. That southwest corner of the map as well. That's not going to be an easy one for some of our players to get to.
Yep. But get to they shall. They got no choice, whether it's using heals or just using some of your mobility. Like, you're going to have to do whatever you can. So we're just kind of still cool under pressure. Not too worried.
Definitely still wanting to try and build as much as possible, though, here. I mean, Somerset seems as though she's got it all there herself, so she's going to continue taking full advantage. I mean, and she has a means of quick rotation if she chooses, given that launch pad that's available. But it seems as though right now her mentality is solely on focusing players out of their current rotations and not giving anybody any freebies.
Oh no, yeah, you want to run around, you better use that shockwave. She said, hey, I might not take you down, but you're gonna use something. You're gonna use that. That porta bunker we saw the shockwave come out too. So, it's like maybe he got discovered a little bit.
Not sure how much hiding Bully's really trying to do at this point. But all those slash splashes having to be expended by Oliver OG, he's definitely gonna have to look to confirm on elimination here or something, because having an empty item slot as we're approaching our next zone is never an easy time.
That's not how you want. That's not the look you're going for. But I do appreciate the habit, the movement he's displaying. He's not staying in one place. He's keeping his kind of bobbing and weaving a little bit. You never know who might have their sights on you, trying to get a quick snipe. So definitely a good habit to work into your routine if you're just standing around waiting for something to happen, especially if potentially not under full cover. All right, Ours is charting his course now.
Try and decide of where would actually be the next best spot to go. And the other interesting thing too, though, about the POI Shattered Slabs in general is that it is so up and down in terms of the terrain, lots of varying levels there. So if any of those zones happen to continue pulling back over that POI, it's going to make for some tough work for a lot of our competitors left standing in this lobby.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, navigating this, those hilly areas is going to be really strange, because at one moment you could be in a good spot and then the zone pulls in a little bit in a slightly unexpected way, and not all of a sudden you're having to deal with someone just shooting down from elevation. It looks like Scented is an engagement. Has a pretty good vantage point. Gonna go on the chase, but it's getting able to close it out.
No, didn't need to, because he's got company from far away.
Oh.
Those shots from a separate direction, that is exactly what I was talking about in terms of pressure coming in the moment that some shots begin to rain out. And now, Scented feeling a little bit of the heat here. but just continuing to try and see what he can gather off of that last player's elimination. Sure, he might not have gotten the point to his name, but at the same time, being able to pick up a couple of essential resources and immediately trying to make his way.
Yeah, it's a tough and nasty storm he's having to deal with right now. Bully, he has a storm to contend with, but he also has a player as well in his sights. Working on that structure. Oh man. You just see a large log flying at you, like, well, this isn't gonna be great.
Smart usage though of that shockwave grenade to just get out before he actually ends up getting caught inside, literally between a rock and a hard place.
Oh, yeah.
Not trying to overspend any time that he doesn't need to, but now I think it was difficult for whoever had their sights on Bully to actually keep tabs on where it is that he went. So Bully just going to take his time now to wait and see who's actually trying to make the approach.
No, 100%. Man, we're getting into the thick of it right now.
Oliver OG, he needs some shields though, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough until he can get some kind of. Oh, looks like he might have found something potentially, but will he be able to make it all the way over there? Is the real question.
Always risky business.
All
You
right.
know.
Booga out in the open knows that, decides to go ahead and go for cover instead of making his approach. And just in the nick of time, he got tagged on the way out, but still looking okay. Got some slaps at his disposal.
Trying to hold those porta bunkers as long as possible, and definitely the right idea. I mean, why waste something when the map can provide for you?
Exactly, absolutely. And look, you found your own little porta bunk. So there we go.
Still needs to be careful though, given the slight height disadvantage. But again, positioning is really what it all boils down to. And Booga, he's actually got the jump here possibly, and he's just gonna keep powering through. He knows any sort of engagements that aren't of 100% necessity, because he's not exactly hard pressed for resources by any means. He had a pretty decent loadout, so just wants to prioritize positioning.
Bully though, and gonna immediately get back undercover. Man, what a maneuver! Not able to collect the loot, but still gonna get that elimination, and already on to the next.
That shockwave put him somewhere he didn't want to be, though.
Yeah.
You can see the rest of the lobby starting to trickle its way in.
Yeah, he
Bully,
said he's relocating by all means necessary.
he wants to get ahead of them, and I can't blame him. Glimpse of a player at the last second, too, hanging out on the bottom side of their porta bunker.
Looks like some are gonna take advantage of the porta bunker that Bully put down earlier.
It's almost like porta bunker leapfrog at this point.
Yeah. But out of shocks, out of ports. So now it's just gonna be a test of, can you move to the right spots? Can you win these engagements? But gonna get caught out. The storm forcing her into a bad spot. But moving on to Scented. Still looking in.
Oh, he didn't even get a chance. Didn't even get an opportunity to see where it was coming from.
Yeah, Bully just was.
That was clean, but at the same time, still another player left in this lobby.
We got Bully looking to potentially win this, but has no shields, but out in the open. Oh!
So close there for Bully.
And
I like the idea to try and force him out from behind the tree with that shockwave grenade, but Booga just so much an advantage as far as the shield and health bars are looking.
Yeah.
But a good attempt there.
Oh,
It almost
100%.
feels like this was inevitable, though, when you think about Booga's placements in games 1 and 2. It really seemed as though he was sneaking his way up
Yeah.
into a victory royale for himself.
I think he kept himself pretty much in top 5 almost the entire time. And like even though that shockwave, that play was like really, it would have been a really good play. He hit the shockwave grenade. He was looking for Booga to pop up, but since it just was off the mark, Booga was able to get a clean shot on him, and that was the game. But definitely a good effort, and you know Booga obviously happy to get on the board as far as victory royales. So it's still spread out. No one's gotten 2 yet.
I mean, the main thing that I'm noticing, though, is that guess who we didn't see in the top 5 at the very end there, unless I might have missed it, but Baka, nowhere to be seen. So that lead that he'd been able to build a little bit for himself between games 1 and 2 might be a slightly closer gap now, especially with Bully having gotten a second place there. And I believe he had 5 eliminations by the end of it, so just another additional 5 points onto his total scoring. Should certainly help things out quite a bit.
It's crazy because Baka got 17 eliminations. Like I guess over the course of those two games 1 and 2.
I mean, he had 10 eliminations in the first game.
Yeah, so it's just, he can definitely make up for those points in eliminations, and I'm sure any of these competitors can. But it's interesting to see it because you can get more points from eliminations than you could potentially get from a victory royale. So it's nice to have that swing factor. That it's not I didn't win any rounds, so I can't win. Like if you go on a crazy run, you could potentially close the gap even without getting a victory royale.
I mean, if there was ever a time to go on a run, though, it's certainly for games 4 and 5 because we have now crossed the threshold of our first 3 matches with only 2 games left to be played here. And this is, again, that turning point where I would expect to see some of our competitors out there on the floor maybe looking to get a little bit extra aggressive here because, hey, if you're not working your way up in that leaderboard, if you can recognize, okay, maybe this is just a little out of my depth, but you're still trying to have fun with it, I mean, that's where I see the sabotage might come into play because you just never know, man. I mean, players might just be looking to go ahead and jump straight into those early game fights that we saw a little bit of in game 1, but then kind of simmered out in game 2, game 3. Definitely not really seeing as many early game engagements, but Baka and Bully actually with the overtake here.
Yeah.
And that'll be him in that first place position. Certainly feeling pretty good about that one.
No, 100%. And look, it goes to show you, Bully's definitely had his eye on the prize all day. But getting that victory royale and also getting those eliminations you mentioned, they were able to kind of just squeeze up to the top. And Booga, right now, kind of establishing himself for the first time today and just kind of getting in that top 5 on the leaderboard here. We do see a little bit of a drop off from my current favorite, John Fluger. But you know, it's the day's not done yet.
Yeah, this is not the easiest lobby to go up against either. I mean, you look at our top 4, Bully, Baka, Booga, Scented. Half of these guys are just so much Fortnite competitive experience in general. So to see them here playing it out today, I think it's just a great learning experience as far as the zero builds realm is concerned. But even Booga can't be feeling all that comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
3rd place, I mean, only a 2-point difference between himself and Scented there in 4th. So game 4 could really be an overturn point, especially as far as leaderboard is concerned.
Yeah, 100%. And it'll be interesting because right now we've been seeing everyone kind of trading these victory royale wins. No one's gotten any in a row. So we'll see if anyone's able to two-peat or if we're going to get yet another first-time victory royale champion for the day. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who's able to take it this time around.
I mean, the fact that Bully and Baka have both had victory royales and then second place finishes says a lot, though. But again, we love seeing what the players have in store for us, but also getting to hear some of their thoughts out from JD on the floor.
That's right. I am here with Conrad Thompson. He is the owner of Team Agent. You guys were a last-minute addition to put some additional pressure on these creators. Tell us about that experience of finding out about this event and getting involved with it.
Yeah. So I had Bully's mom, Jennifer. She reached out to me, I would say Friday night, and she asked if any of my guys would have been interested in coming to this cool event by Coca-Cola. So I called them, and they were all interested and happy to participate in this and, meet fans and whatnot. So we got on a flight early Saturday morning, and we just made it on time, and it's fun. It's a blessing.
Well, it's awesome to have you guys out here. I have to ask, who are you cheering for in this competition?
Yeah, so I mean, my players, of course, all behind me. You've got Scented, Pars, and Baka. Baka won the first game, and then all of the other guys, they're performing well with people like Booga and whatnot. So obviously, my players, I'm rooting for them, plus all of the other guys, though. So yeah. Okay, I guess you don't have favorites. Tell me how you feel being the owner of a pro team, working with these pro players on the daily. What do you see esix having the opportunity to do for the professional and amateur competitive gaming scene? Yeah, so I think third-party events are, a very good thing for, with fans, being able to meet people that they look up to and watch online all the time. And then just, things for, building players' brands so that fans can know who these players are online because, they don't get to, really see their faces and whatnot. So helping players, build their brand and take them to the next level to kind of, be a Booga or be a Clicks is a very, very good thing. So, especially for fans to meet these pros so that they can, maybe one day can be a pro as well. I think, it's very good for them to meet them and ask them questions and just get to experience things like this. So, yeah.
And you guys are not just playing games here. I know yesterday you had a fantastic time cruising around the park, checking out all these roller coasters. Tell me what the experience has been like at Six Flags Fiesta Texas for you and your team.
Yeah, so we went yesterday. We went on a lot of rides, and it was very, very fun. I'm a big fan and advocate of roller coasters. Some of my players, like Baka, he was very afraid to go on some of the rides, but it's very, very fun. This park is amazing, and yeah, I enjoy it. I'll definitely be back here. So.
All right, well, we are glad that you guys are here, both riding the roller coasters and competing in the tournament. Let's kick it back to Taco and Waltz.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, you'd love to see it.
I don't blame them. A lot of people going outside their comfort zones, I think, with the roller coasters. But how can you not hop on the roller coasters here at Six Flags Fiesta Texas?
No, you gotta do it. It's especially if you've never done it before, or if you just haven't done it in a while. You get that thrill that you can't really get in other places. So it's really cool to have that in the same space.
Especially going from the esix gaming facility right over to the Six Flags rides. I mean, best of both worlds, really.
Yeah, 100%. And if you're one of those people who doesn't like to be just out and about all day, and you want to kind of mix and match your tempos, your speeds, you go do a few roller coasters, come back in, play some games, relax, chill, and then if you once you recoup your energy, you head back out, catch some more rides, get some more thrills. Sometimes some people need to like a roller coaster, you want to speed up and slow down.
For me, I can personally attest to how amazing the air conditioning is inside of this esix game facility powered by Coca-Cola. I mean, they're definitely trying to keep everybody cooled off and comfortable. And when you think about some of that Texas heat at times, again, just a great way to step out of the sun, kind of refresh, recharge, and look to hop back into the action.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've been talking about cover all day with these players, and this is some of the best coverage that you can get here at Six Flags, and honestly in Texas, just in general. Coming in and being able to be welcomed by all these great people and these great facilities, and just being able to just come out of the sun for any amount of time is just really cool. And now you have a really great activity. All right, looks like we have a couple updates to the leaderboard here. We have Bully and Baka tied, actually, at the top there. But, it's a close race. It's a close race.
You got to add together the eliminations plus the placements.
Yep.
Bound to make a couple of adjustments. I believe Baka actually led off with 42.
Yeah.
So only able to collect a couple of eliminations, basically, between games 2 and 3. And that's another just clear indicator of the fact that you can never really consider yourself safe. Even though it might look like you have an impressive lead, there's just so much talent here. I know that our content creators and our pros are definitely popping off, don't get me wrong, but even the fans, the fact that we got a couple of the fans here in our top 8 says a lot.
No, for sure. And it's cool to see, because right now, even Scented right now, is in that top 4, no victory royales, but able to get in there just off the strength of his eliminations. So it's really...
And a couple of strong placements.
Oh, yeah. And the placements as well. We have Fluger in the crowd. Man, just representing for the fans right now. Just doing it big. Not shying away from the challenge of these pros and these content creators. Currently in 6th place, just leaving his mark on that top 8. And I think it's just really, really cool to see someone just come up and try to show off their stuff.
Yeah, something else that I love though is that all inside of this esix game facility powered by Coca-Cola, you see the Razer equipment boasting strong, those headsets and everything. It's just nice peripherals to be able to rely on. Even our content creators and pros on stage themselves getting a chance to flex some of the peripheral gear.
Oh yeah, sometimes you want to make sure you have the best gear, so that way you're not limited at all. It helps you to actually enhance the way you're playing your game, like people running around, and you want to be able to hear, kind of hear exactly where people are running around if you need to like listen for footsteps, and this kind of just elevates your play here.
And again, our 5th place competitor with 16 points, just barely ahead of Joshua. Here we got Martinez representing in the last name, and he's definitely doing his best. Trying to play catch up, little peace signs to the camera. Doesn't want to lose too much focus though on the day.
Honestly, yeah, and just keeping it casual. He's like, hey, I mean, I know I'm killing it.
He knows what he's about.
I know I'm crazy. I'm cracked. Don't worry about it. I'm about to win this next one.
Is that a claim?
No, listen. All I'm saying is, like, sometimes you just maintain that confidence and just like, hey, you know what, like, you don't let the pressure slip off your shoulder. Just, hey, you know what? We got some pros around. Obviously, like, there's gonna be a lot of talent in the room, but for all intents and purposes, I'm the best player right now.
Well, we'll get to find out who actually is the best player of game number 4 here shortly, because the battle bus is up and running. Everyone getting primed and ready to secure their drop spot locations, and we've seen a couple of different battle bus trajectories so far today. And I think that part of that has also led to some of our players choosing to shift some of their initial drop points, focal points as well. But whether or not these players want to resort back to where they started earlier on in games 1 and 2, or if some of those adjustments maybe worked out in their favor there in game number 3, we'll get to find out momentarily. But as far as Booga is concerned, I would be hard-pressed to imagine going anywhere else but Singman Suites.
No, absolutely. And right now, just gonna do a nice little descent. Not gonna try to slow down at all. Just wants to get as close to the ground as possible. He's got a lot on his mind. This is a match 4. This could be the make or break on whether or not he can secure that number 1 spot.
Well, at the same time, though, you can never really get that, you don't want that false sense of security. And granted, we know that Booga's been largely uncontested. Exactly, pretty much basically fully uncontested, but it seems now they'll finally have some company rolling up here. Singlet Suites, Booga trying to do it again. He knows that floor loot spawns, though. He's able to get his hands on something. Be difficult for that opposition. But a quick shift to that south side of the map yet again, and it's Bully.
Moving fast, cutting grass. That's why I like to say.
Yeah, just taking out these bamboo shoots so we can try to collect the loot. It's located in the center of some of them.
Man, just wasting no time either, just on the move.
These players tend to have their optimal loot paths pretty much hard mapped in advance. So many of our competitive players and content creators, I mean, everybody knows about these drop maps being such a common feature, whether you make them yourself or have somebody help you out.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, these guys tend to just know the best way to actually prioritize their farm situation.
No, for sure. Having those loot routes like ahead of time, just it enables you to have so much more like mental capacity to just think about everything else that's going on, and not fully have to just focus on strictly where you're going to be going. You already kind of know. You kind of can pass towards those proper places. Since it get,
I always love the animation.
Yeah, it's like mink.
Well, it's more so the alarms that start going off after the fact. It's like, whoa, what's this guy doing? But nah, this vault definitely belongs to Scented for the time being.
Yeah, these low cards not gonna pose too much of a threat here.
Oh, but that Mythic, gotta peep which one he picked up and which one he prioritized. It's gonna be the Foundation's MK7 assault rifle. Ooh.
We've seen that do a lot of work.
Booga is definitely not the only player showing a little bit of favoritism towards that assault rifle, and for good reason. I mean, it just packs such a quick punch He's really difficult to deal with, and definitely shreds through other players' porta bunkers. The crouch approach as well, smart when you know that you're not alone.
Oh yeah. Trying to stay very cautious here, keeping the movement ambiguous, even with just like the crouching and recrouching. The music is very tense now.
Maybe more so for Boo than any of us. Again, it's his territory if you think about it. When you've been uncon for 3 matches in a row, and then all of a sudden somebody tries to pop up on your radar,
Yep.
you got to send the message like, hey, don't come back here, guy.
Oh, Baka just doing a flyby there. Getting some good shots off, but
Maybe is sort of a little bit higher than he intended to. Didn't necessarily want to overclips the other ledge, that building. But it's the Maven auto for Baka here. Door open, door closed, and Baka, he's trying to close out this
man.
engagement.
But look at this
Yes,
movement.
needs one final shot and will finally manage to pick off his opposition here.
Baka's like, yo, stay still.
He's like, keep the door open.
It's like, I'm trying to talk.
That's not the kind of conversation I'd want to have with anyone, though, I'll be honest. Maven auto to the face, yeah, I'm good on that.
All right. Again, somebody getting a couple shots off, about 50 damage on the shield. Nothing too crazy, but always make your presence know, hey, you know what? You're going to feel this. You don't just get to move around for free.
It can be really difficult as well. I like the fact that it's not the first time we've seen Somerset with the suppressed sniper rifle either. Clearly a weapon that she feels very comfortable with and trying to take advantage of, especially when she's able to approach such a nice natural peak. She knows the general direction that that last player just headed off in with the rocket ram.
Ooh.
Trying to see if, you know, a little bit of whack-a-mole might be at play here.
Oh.
One more peek from X to the rock, and no, that other competition knows better. They're gonna try to find some better coverage in general. Don't want to find themselves losing their head and getting elimed in the process.
Oh, no. Yeah, and with his vantage point, she kind of just has control of the situation, but you're definitely going to want to be careful that no one kind of sneaks up behind and doesn't want to necessarily stay here for too long, just because you're losing out on time to get loot and time to get into better spots. I think they're firing back just a little bit.
Just some generic podcast reminder, but I think her return fire is a little bit less welcoming than theirs. And now, with that storm continuing to approach, granted it is only one take territory, but at the same time, 110 straight to the shield. That is not the kind of welcome greeting that you would want, because now that player possibly going to feel more threatened, possibly going to feel as though they can't actually take that trajectory path either to try and approach Somerset.
Now, you can take 110 to the face, and the storm comes in and starts taking you down. It's like, man, that's,
Jeez, Zemi.
Oh my God, Zemi, chill. They're just trying to glide down.
That's just a green twig mag too. I mean, imagine this man with a
MK7
mythic in his hands.
Yeah. It's melting people down.
Such a cool guy too. Rocking it out in the Nitro Fang. I'm gonna try to get a little bit closer here as well, and
Ooh. A little bit of an overturn card, but too crazy going on. Oh.
right idea.
All right.
Wants that forecast tower.
However,
I'm sure he's not the only one either, though.
yeah, he's
With
gonna
the same mentality,
really
seems as
careful.
though there might be a couple of other players looking to approach further north, but when you've got the whip on your side, it makes it a little bit easier as far as collecting some of this loot and reconsidering.
Ooh, the legendary slip.
First, it's going to be the
All right,
card
yeah.
insert. After that, yeah, hard pressed to believe anybody would ever leave a legendary slurp behind intentionally, much less two of them. But this is a good look now. Again,
That
a
forecast
pretty big
is-
advantage.
Yeah, the forecast is definitely important. in the later stages, just to see if he's able to kind of maintain the health. And oh my gosh, Booga, they're just trying to jump.
Yeah, but they're jumping at him. That's their first mistake.
He said that's the wrong number, that's the wrong direction. You need to jump to the side. You don't jump towards me. Trying to engage me. I have the high ground.
Still though, that other player having been at Singing Sweets definitely seems to have taken a little bit of an impact at least, because Booga clearly did not want to take any unnecessary risk. He could have definitely entrusted his own skill and gameplay to look for a 1v1 opportunity there, but then again, if there's one, there might be more. And Booga not willing to risk those odds, seems as though he actually limited some of the materials that he's been able to farm out from the past 3 matches even, having to leave some items behind and whatnot just to prioritize. Once he felt comfortable with a decent loadout, okay, I've got to keep things moving, don't want to get caught up here.
No, yeah, 100%. Yeah, we've seen the past few games, he gained like all these mythics, just really high-level weapons. But this time around, he's actually kind of being pressured a little bit, just by the sheer number of players that are in the same location. All right, Baka making some moves.
Not uncommon either to see players utilizing those shockwave grenades just to get as quickly as possible to where their last elimination took place, because you want to be able to loot and you want to be able to get out. You never want to stick too far in the open.
Got a good jump here.
For Baka, he just wants to maintain his spot at his porta bunker. Can't leave the car behind.
Yeah. Never leave the whip. Well, unless this is being melted down and you got to jump out before it explodes.
Oh, he's lost a tire in the process.
Oh, dear.
Might want to consider finding another whip and asking you shall receive. Baka, brand new truck, brand new guy. For now.
For now. The way he's driving. All right, just gonna kind of get to this new area, just to make sure he's all healed up.
Seems as though he's considering whether or not there's a lot of enemies that might still be hanging out further north. And this is a good place to try and take some shots from him, because with the slurp truck right here, always all too easy for him to replenish any shields that he might lose in the process.
Yep, that's definitely a nice little backup. Say, hey, you know what? If I do engage somebody, I do have a way to get my health back up. But Oliver OG taking down the dealer, getting a lot of these NPC kills, get more of these resources, and just building up a stockpile of just a lot of good loot.
Well, everybody wants those vault opportunities. I mean, just so many goodies in store. And again, the legendary weaponry that is provided as well from inside of those vaults, so nice to take advantage of.
No, definitely. Just somewhat uncontested, just able to kind of calmly get everything he needs. Taking a second to think about what exactly approach he wants to take with these augments. All right, get the sign off. Okay. Can he make a clean escape?
I wouldn't really expect him to encounter anybody just yet. He's been really smart about how he's actually chosen to approach that vault in general. And now, knowing that the Rift Island's gonna be spawning here pretty soon, players, I think, just maybe keeping an eye out for it, but it doesn't really seem as though it's been a heavily sought after area. I mean, it's quite common sometimes battles to break out in that Rift Island trajectory, but right now I think a lot of the focus just lying more so on players just trying to loot out their initial drop spots.
No, absolutely. And the movement from room to room is just immaculate. I'm really loving his way he's keeping himself safe and just making sure that even though he does have a pretty good idea of no one being around, just keeping those good habits up, just making sure to clear those corners every time he enters a new room. And in Somerset, just kind of a common trend we've been seeing, just to maintain these good high grounds and working a lot with the snipers and just picking off and landing hits at long range and just dealing heavy damage to people.
We've seen her hit one. What I want to see is whether or not she can actually find the raw elimination with that suppressed sniper rifle. Those are not easy to come by either.
Not at all.
I mean, even just trying to track player movements in general inside of zero build at that, so easy for players to try and leverage the shockwave grenades or even the porta bunker. But I like where Somerset's currently set up. It looks as though she's got a really good way to kind of rotate out if need be, on top of the fact that she has multiple options of how exactly she chooses to rotate. It's not like she has to depend solely on one or the other. I mean, there's cars, a rocket launcher, or the rocket ram, excuse me, as well as the shockwave grenades. And when you have several different choices, it makes it all the easier. And right now,
Just healing up the car.
she's using the campfire, yes.
Yeah, just making sure like you have that getaway car just nice and ready. It's all fully healed up. You have this great vantage point. You have the legendary slurps on deck. You're ready pretty much for any eventuality. And if anyone is foolish enough to poke out of their hiding spot, you just lay down one of these shots on them. Maybe get one of those sniper eliminations.
And again, the campfire, it's good for more than just the car. It's also good for her as well.
Oh yeah.
In case anybody does get a chance to take some shots at her, but it seems as though Somerset is fully aware of the fact that she seems rather alone in her current position.
Sammy, though, seems like he might be in the middle of an engagement. Or maybe just expecting one.
Hard to say. I mean,
Shots fired?
when you get near such a mid-map location, start to expect a decent amount of players, especially with the way that the zone is pulling, just so center map. So many of these players that could be funneling in from every which way, depending on who actually made it out of their initial drop spot. But again,
Uh-oh. Looks like we might be seeing something here pretty soon. Just a little bit.
no breaks though for Booga. He's just fully set on charging forward here. Recognizes though just how dangerous it is to actually stay on top of that bike. Doesn't want to risk losing any further shields. Instead, takes a moment. Slurp plant as well. Gonna get him back to nearly full shields. Back on the bike momentarily, but doesn't seem as though Booga's all that comfortable trying to make a quick escape. He knows that there's eyes on him right now.
Yeah, it's like when, are you the prey or the hunted, right? Because right now we're in kind of a wooded area. There's a lot of places to hide, a lot of vantage points that you can seek, so you gotta be really careful when you're moving around in this jungle environment, because
Well, there's also players that might be looking to take advantage of some of the temple vault rifts that are available. I mean, that right away, you see Booga immediately charging up towards the sky, because again, it's not like rifts are quiet necessarily.
yeah.
So, relatively easy to get an idea of when they're being taken advantage of. But yeah, if it's not by rift, it's usually going to be by some sort of vehicle, and if not the vehicle, I mean, rocket rams, we have not really seen that many rocket ram rotations taking place throughout the day. I think it's just players kind of understanding it's a rather slow charge in launch time.
Yeah, and I've been seeing, I mean, we saw Zemi earlier just like tracking so well, people flying through the air. It's like, okay, thanks for the free shots. And it's like a last ditch, oh, I need to move now. This isn't really, I have no other option.
It's
kind of
different with
situation.
builds versus zero builds, because you just don't have that standard charge time that you would like to, because you're just fully exposed unless you have a porta bunker. But even then, if you've had to expend a porta bunker this early on, something else has probably gone wrong.
Exactly. So you got symptoms and you got the actual the actual disease, and it's like, man, you got no porta bunkers. What the hell happened earlier? Like, who were you engaging with? Why are you at half health?
I mean, that's one way to roll around in disguise.
Oh man.
Might be a little bit more obvious than you would think, but
Maybe.
at the same time, I fully respect it from Baca.
Oh, this is amazing.
He's just going fully outside the box wherever possible.
Just casually, just like, yeah, nothing to see here.
It does make it a lot more difficult, though, for players to actually try and get target on his own hitbox.
That is true. That is true. Man.
And we've seen players already getting dinged from inside of the vehicles, even when they're driving. So it's not like you're safe. Just because the vehicle has health doesn't necessarily mean players are aiming exclusively at it.
Oh, 100%. And we've seen Booga get those like really good shots. Let me get those really good shots. And like it just, yeah, you can't get too comfortable just because you're behind the wheel. And yeah, using the push to shot his location is pretty smart. But yeah, the player driving up, Baca laying some shots down. Not gonna get any damage on the player themselves, but that vehicle is definitely close. Oh, it's like we got another elimination.
Nah, for Baca, it's more about the relocation than anything else. Because again, it's just unnecessary engagement. I mean, what do you really have to gain, especially when you know that the next zone pool relatively far from where you're currently at. Your vehicle's not in the greatest shape either, so can't blame him for wanting to focus entirely on just getting to an ideal position, not continue to waste time. Even if he knows that the player is nearby, if that player is not directly challenging you, why waste the resources?
Yeah, 100%. Looks like he's low on. Oh, might need to abandon this whip in a little bit, but uh-oh. Hey. Ooh, that was not ideal. Gonna need to kind of reorient himself real quick. So it's like someone got the drop on him.
But also, maybe looking to take matters into his own hands. You know, a lot of action happening there in the mid-map area, but
Ooh.
watch those toes.
Okay, looking for the finisher here. Zemi jumping into the fray. Gonna track. Oh my God, such good tracking. Able to catch the potential escape and moving right into the next engage. In the thick of it, engaging multiple players simultaneously.
This is just such an open area for the zone to be pulling towards. A lot of flat ground here, so players are definitely going to have to depend on porta bunkers if they've got them, and if they don't, I better find a bush if there's any that still remain untaken.
And just hope that no one walking by decides to shoot into it. All right, Booga trying to make a move here.
Whew, unlucky on that next zone pool. Quite a ways for Booga to go, but that elimination is going to make things a little bit easier off to his left. I mean, he knows he's got some building covered there to work with, but also spot out the fact there's still players left standing at that location, and Booga, not wanting to take any chances, throws out a porta bunker just in case he's got to make another rotation here.
Okay, gets the shot off. Not too much damage. Oh, big hit there, but still got multiple engagements here. Gonna have to figure out a way to come out of this one on top. Quite literally.
I mean, it doesn't matter which way Booga looks. He's got somebody to his left, somebody right in front of him, directly to his right, just completely surrounded by other competition, and also watching other players drop like flies in the process.
Like, and you see the loot just literally, it's
falling from the sky.
You're like, oh man.
That's all the better though for somebody like Booga to try and take advantage of. Whether or not it works out for him, we'll have to follow up later on here. But Zemi, he's got to be careful. Players on his backside. Players directly in front of him posing more of a threat. Rocket ram just overhead.
Yeah, the rocket ram again. It's kind of turning into a liability in some of these situations.
But that's got to be a strong push here from Zemi.
Ooh.
He knows that he's got to keep things pushing forward. Had way too much damage already dealt. Knew that he wanted to follow up on that immediately with the shockwave grenade. I like the aggressive play here.
But yeah, then we're gonna take out Booga right there. and bring this to a 5-person lobby.
It's just about tearing away at those walls. But with the twin mag assault rifle, nowhere near as quick of a fire rate as that MK7. However,
accuracy, he is hitting these aerial targets really well. Oh, the double shockwave.
they're just trying to buy time, going back and forth, hoping that somebody else is going to get eliminated before them.
All right, we got Baka trying to find some kind of cover.
I'm amazed.
We know Zemi's in the zone.
Still not spotted out, though.
Yeah.
It's got to be terrifying when you just hear these shots coming in from so close to you. And Baka will be spotted out. Now looking for the direct challenge here, but it's not enough. Zemi, don't even know if he got credited with that elimination. But given Baka's positioning, seems as though somebody else might have been able to pick him off in the process, but Zemi, he's not looking to slow down anytime soon. He's alert and he is ready to try and take matters in his own hand this
gonna
game.
get bounced out of the zone, actually. Gonna have to find his, oh my gosh, what a way.
Beautiful placement there.
Oh, jeez. Bouncing directly out of the zone into the storm and was able to just let the storm do the hard work for him. That was great play by Oliver OG.
That is one of the difficult aspects, because again, you're not ever really safe depending on where you're standing inside of those porta bunkers. You never know when someone might just have the most perfectly placed shockwave grenade waiting for you. And Oliver OG, I mean, what a way to strike and close out game 4.
Yeah, there's no way Zemi could have seen that coming. Like, that was like such a perfectly placed shockwave and just bounced him exactly out of the zone. Even if he had been healthy enough to make it through and back into the eye, you still have to contest with Oliver waiting with a good position. Man, wow. What a way to clutch out game 4. Oliver OG putting himself on the board as far as victory royales go.
Again, it's just really tough when you consider the fact that that was just such a flat and open area of the map. It was just pure dependability on whatever porta bunker structures are being tossed up in the first place. I mean, even those trees. We saw Baka hanging on for dear life in behind the world's smallest rock.
Like,
that was not going to really be able to find much of anything. And in all honesty, the player that did eventually end up eliminating him from inside of that porta bunker, I honestly feel as though they knew he was there the entire time. It's just, what more can you really do as Baka in that position other than just count the seconds, count the minutes, hope that somebody else gets elim before you? Because I have to remember, he was tied in that first place position there with Bully, and now depending on how things actually fared in terms of elimination counts, that might be the real difference maker between first and second right now.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, the world's smallest rock. Like, it definitely looked like, okay, can you still see me? It's like, yeah, dude, your whole body is exposed.
Yeah, like everybody sees you.
Yeah.
And I think there was even a player directly behind him that was just starting to make their way into the zone too. But, you know, obviously it's not always ideal. Even if you see one vantage point against a particular player, when you recognize that there is a little bit of congestion building on side of that edge side of the zone, you've got to be careful, because you don't want to be the first person firing shots, much like a lot of these players, they don't want to be the first person rotating unless they have a clear pathway for those rotations, because you're basically having to set up ahead of everybody else. And if you can make it to the front side or the center of the zone before anybody else gets there, awesome. But if not, if you're one of the first people to rotate in, that just makes it all too easy for people to pick you off.
No, yeah, for sure. And we saw Zemi kind of with a good vantage point on Oliver towards the end, but just able to just like smoke him out. That just, man, that just goes to show kind of that creativity like we're talking about. Just being able to, even though you don't have the best positioning, just using your resources that you have available at hand to just turn the situation completely around and sneak out a win towards the end. Man, and we still have not had a single repeat winner of I mean, we're getting closer. Like, Baka was in the top 3, I believe, but just it's crazy to see how much of a swing we have with who's winning these rounds.
I see Oliver wins a game immediately. Fan, can you sign my shirt? That's the first thing that comes up. Yeah, I want the guy that got a victory royale at the Summer Showdown here at the esix gaming facility, powered by Coca-Cola, inside a Six Flags Fiesta Texas. And our freshly updated leaderboard, whether or not there's a couple of extra adjustments to be made pending on elimination points. But right now, it's looking as though Baka is representing that first place position.
Yep. We have Bully kind of staying around the same place. Booga got a few elimination pickups, plus and Zemi got that second place, just right on the cusp, really, of getting that victory royale, and it's just.
But look at how close it is to breaking into the top 3 in general. I mean, Zemi, Scented, Oliver OG, even John Fluger. They're all points within that third place position. So the competition definitely tightening up here as far as our top 3 is concerned. But I want to hear a little bit more from JD. I mean, we've been hearing from him in between each game. So what you got for us, bud?
Hey, Walt and Taco, we are back with our Grand Sweepstakes winner, Kinsley, who had an amazing time yesterday, placing 6th in the speed run, and you have been competing all day today. Tell me how the tournament has been going for you so far.
It could be better. I'm used to the building, so no build's not that my thing, but I'm having fun doing it, and even if I'm not winning, I'm still thankful that I get to play and just having fun with everyone here.
That's wonderful. I know some of our pros have been adjusting with this gaming format with no building as well. Tell me, what has it been like playing with some of the best Fortnite players in the world? Did you think that you'd ever have this opportunity?
No, I haven't. It's been really cool, and especially meeting Somerset and Booga, them two my favorite, especially Somerset. I got to take pictures with them, have their signatures. It was really fun, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, esix is so fun, but there's also so much beyond just the gameplay, right? I know you've been enjoying a lot of the roller coasters, the other aspects of the Six Flags Park. Share with us, what has been your favorite part of Six Flags outside of E6?
I say probably this one roller coaster. I kind of forgot the name of it. It's like Iron Rattler or something. But I usually don't like roller coasters, but that one was really fun. And it's my first time ever in Texas, so it was really fun too.
Awesome. Well, we have one more game set to go, and we are going to wish you best of luck. Walt and Taco, what do we have set here for the last game of the tournament?
Oh, man. Listen. I honestly, welcome to Texas, by the way. That's a great first.
Everybody keeps saying the Iron Rattler.
Yeah.
I can't blame them. That ride is a ton of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? If it's really good, it's really good. I mean, there's no real. You don't got to keep it. You don't got to like mix it up for no reason.
I believe Dr. Diabolical, though, one of the newer rides, and that one's also pretty sick. You even get like a little facility tour. Well, I say facility tour. It's like that almost haunted mansion feel.
Yeah.
In a sense.
You know, for sure. And with this being the last match of the day, I know a lot of players now it's like kind of do or die. There's not really anything left in the as far as you can to get. The getting is now is the time to get what you can because it's do or die. I know we have I think Baka is in that first place spot. So if you want to overtake them, you gotta get that victory royale, get some eliminations under your belt. I think obviously Bully's the closest to overtaking him, but he could still just get a clean break here if he's able to kind of pull it out in this last match.
Well, realistically, any of our top 6, if they were to get a victory royale in this final game, could potentially find themselves in the top 3. Maybe not necessarily winning outright, depending on how Bully and Baka do overall. But at the same time, I mean, somebody like Booga, he can't really feel all that safe. He knows that he needs to finish strong for our last match of the day here, and it's not going to be easy because, again, it really seems as though we're seeing a lot of the same names as far as our final 10 is concerned in some of these last couple of zones. And the fact that you get big brain plays like what we saw from Oliver OG, or you just let the storm do your dirty work, it's never really that easy to guarantee your positioning in those final moments.
So clutch, by the way. That was just man. He just said.
See, I've been watching a decent amount of these, and the way that dude uses his shockwave grenades is always impressive. He does a lot of zero builds himself. He's not one of our competitors here today, but definitely has a lot of zero build action that he likes to partake in, and has definitely showcased a lot to me in terms of the fact, everybody's talking about the rocket ramps being the central focal point, but as soon as I saw just how crazy the shockwave grenades and the shockwave launchers could go inside of this scope of zero builds, that was where I felt like the real threat was going to lie.
Oh yeah. That ability to relocate yourself, not only yourself but other players, is huge because someone has a great position. You're like, well, what do? I gotta destroy their entire structure, or what if I just bounce them to a bad spot? And it's like, oh, I didn't see this coming. You know, I go with my shields didn't block this, my structure didn't protect me from this, and now all of a sudden I'm waiting in this storm, and I'm like, hey man, a handshake and a GG's. I gotta move on to the next round, and man, we are just seeing like some incredible plays from a lot of people, and it's just so tough to just kind of get to that final like 4 or 5, because when the zone moves in those kind of unpredictable ways, you can get caught in these terrible spots and just, hey, the dice roll didn't go your way. But hopefully we'll see some more people kind of making their way towards those late stages of the game. Everyone's still having a great time, so you love to see that. And even Kinsley, hey, you know what, not a huge fan of the zero build, but still having a great time, learning some new things. And I hope everyone's definitely keeping an eye on these pro players and making sure to learn as much as possible. Because, hey, you can pull off a cool play like Oliver OG. Hey, you know what? You got a shot grenade. You can toss it up there, and maybe you can win your first victory royale in the same way. So,
I mean, that's part of the reason, though, why this esix gaming facility is so sick, though, because you can see a pretty good spread as far as age is concerned. I'm seeing a lot of these young fraggers out here representing, really, and it's so awesome to know that they have access to a gaming facility like this one here in the Six Flags Fiesta Texas theme park, because it's not every day that you might get this sort of opportunity to not even just going up against the content creators and the pros, but also just against other competitors your age. I mean, you want to talk about building a strong foundation, well, this is the grassroots of it.
Yep. Absolutely. And yeah, having people in the room with you, you can just have those conversations. You can talk, oh man, I was thinking about this, and I dropped here because of that. And you just can really just polish your gameplay all the faster just due to that in-person interaction. All right, this is it. This is the final countdown.
One last ride here for all of our players.
Oh yeah, I know Oliver feeling pretty good after that last victory. Just hopefully they're able to just kind of use that as fuel, but also keep his head in the game.
Of course, because again, in the very start, touched on the fact, you never want to enter that autopilot realm, but I think for so many of our players, after looking at those leaderboards, seeing Wooly and Baka that much further up from everybody else, if anything, you've almost got to treat Game 5 as though it is Game 1, because you should just play it however you're comfortable with. Whatever you are most comfortable with, you should just treat it as if it's no different than our very first or second or even third match of the day, because honestly, once you start to lose focus and you overthink, I'd rather see a player hard commit to a decision that might have been a little bit more questionable, but be 100% into it, as opposed to hesitating, because hesitation is what really puts a stop in your gameplay.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's a lot of action here. Yeah, you definitely don't want to let the fact that it's Game 5 get to your head, because even regardless of how you're feeling about it, it's not going to change the point value, or it's not going to affect the strength of your shields. So you just want to make sure that you're executing on your game plans, and you're making sure to kind of to be decisive when you make these decisions, because you don't want to be hanging around out in the open like, oh, should I go back? Do I have time to loot? I'm pretty sure there's a player over there. I don't know if I want to engage. It's like all that time is precious, so you gotta be careful. All right.
Sened definitely just gonna rely on the vault here and Relentless Retreat to make up for whatever gear he feels he still needs.
What if you want to go for the TNT?
I highly doubt we'll see anybody trying to be an archer here by any means.
I mean, it would be pretty quirky and funny, but definitely not optimal.
Not compared to some of the weaponry that's already available and significantly easier to depend on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, the TNT, that's like you want to just like flex on people and then kind of clown around a little bit. Unfortunately, because it has such a good name.
Ooh. It's a little too close for comfort. Gonna trip the lasers there, but Mbuga not all that bothered by any means. Not entirely certain whether or not he was contested here again at Singwin Sweets or not, but on the off chance that he didn't have a competitor drop in there with him, might mean that he gets a little bit more opportunity to continue his traditional loot path like we saw from him in the earlier matches.
Yeah, right now, just everyone just trying to kind of build up the early game, just make sure that they have the tools necessary to survive any encounters they might run into. What do you hear, Booga?
I don't blame him, just playing it safe.
Those Razor headphones coming in clutch right now. He's like, I hear someone breathing upstairs. Hold on.
Never really know. And just goes to show, though, that doesn't matter how long you've been playing the game, everybody can recognize a threatening presence. And some of our players in the esix game facility taking advantage of the holo chest themselves at their locations. I mean, Creek Compounds definitely can be a solid POI, especially when you're there, that central map location just about. Some other players, I think, a little bit closer to the Eclipse Estates as they continue to try and drive their way forward. Every point counts, whether it's by eliminations or placements.
No, absolutely. All right, moving on a quick elimination here.
Yeah, Boone, he trusted his instinct. Seeing those sound cues going off. And he was not looking to risk it any more than what he had to.
No, for sure. He said, oh, I trust my spidey senses every single time.
But now with that elimination under his belt, it just means that Booga can probably afford to spend a little bit more time there at his drop spot and really get the opportunity to farm it out as much as he needs to.
Yeah, definitely leaning into these sniper augments as we've been seeing from Somerset.
Makes sense given that she's one of the few players that we've seen consistently carrying that suppressed sniper rifle. Because again, that's a weapon you've got to have a decent amount of confidence with to utilize. And yeah, you're looking at it right. That is controller representation. My man's on the sticks, trying to break it down. Looked like he got an elimination in the process there too.
It looks like he's playing in the build lobby. Just trying to, I guess, blowing off some steam there. But Somerset moving around the map a little bit, getting some new cover here. Make sure just keeping herself safe. Advancing onto the roof.
A little bit more scattered as far as the loot path is concerned here from Somerset. Of course.
Just stay mobile. Don't get tied down into one place. But yeah, we're looking a little bit. Yeah, we're just trying to get as much as we can. Nothing, not doesn't look too like too focused, but oh, hold on. Using the rocket ramp. Just another instance of it not quite living up to what you'd expect it to do for you. But again, these players are just really accurate, and you have to be a little bit.
And yeah, we've even got point of view perspective right now of John Pfluger. He's here. And he's still in our top 8 on the leaderboards, but hoping to try and jump his way into top 3 potentially. If he can have a really strong game here, you never know. He might just play spoiler for some of our competitors that are already in the top 3 position.
Under fire a little bit there just before we cut, but still healthy enough definitely to stay alive and keep moving around. Yeah, honestly, it's cool to see someone make it back. Hopefully that wasn't him. But it's cool to see someone make it back from day one and able to do well.
Senator's basically his own taxi service right now, just in case the tournament doesn't work out the way he wanted it to.
What are we doing?
And the player sabotage to the whip as well. And Senate knows it. This guy's trying to blow his car up.
All right.
Senate with a quick trick though.
But able to slide back in.
Get right back in.
Oh dear, man, that was a kind of a tough, a little tight situation. But Senate able to come out on top.
But you almost got to feel a little bit silly. You go for the challenge and then immediately get turned and burned just like that. But again, it's Senate of all people. That's not someone I'd exactly be wanting to opt for the 1v1. But hey, I mean, what better time to, test your own skills?
Yeah, sometimes you guys gotta try to run the ones, see if you can pull it off. And definitely applying pressure to Senate there. Like, this is not where
he destroyed his vehicle. Yeah. That's definitely a huge loss for Senate.
Now he's having to contend with another player and no slurps on deck, just having to essentially abandon ship and say, hey, all right, I'm just gonna get out of dodge, kind of just avoid disengage entirely, because this had no port. He has pretty much nothing, and no way. And we each got word Booga died just now of fall damage. It happens, like sometimes either you miscalculate or you slip off of different terrain, and that could be the end of it. But still, obviously a great showing today.
But now Booga is simply at the mercy of the rest of the lobby. This is a prime opportunity now for our competitors in the top 8 that were just outside of that top 3 position. Because remember, Booga was barely in the top 3 with 26 points, and hot on his heels was Scented of all people, representing 24, I believe. And then Oliver OG even managed to play catch up to 21 points off of that Victory Royale. So realistically, Booga is recognizing the fact that he might just find himself outside of that top 3 position, depending on how these other guys do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and Senate, like you said, is in that prime position to make his way into that top 3. So is, Oliver OG as well, able to get that last win earlier and just catapult himself into the range to contest that top 3 as well. And Bully, true to his name, he is on the hunt.
Bully more likely to just be wanting to focus on some optimal positioning here. He knows what's at stake. He's been talking about first place set, first place mentality. And he's just on the verge of making it there. If he can break past Baka in the process. So every movement is going to count more than ever for Bully. And being fully aware of it as well. Again, we're talking about that mental fortitude. Now is the time to show it.
Oh, absolutely. Then keeping a good eye on the map, just making sure it's all of his bases covered.
Zemi was another competitor too, though, right behind Booga.
Yeah.
It's just, nobody's safe at this point.
No one is safe. And this mouse movement is like, it just goes to show you, man.
Everybody's got their own way to play.
Yep.
As for Zemi, though, it seems like Zemi, more than anything, has really seemed like the embodiment of a player that as the games go on throughout the day, he just gets progressively better. It seems as though he's like kind of just building his own momentum throughout every single one of these games. And even off of the back of that last match, if I'm Oliver OG, if I'm Zemi, I'm thinking it back. That really could have gone
either way.
Completely different direction there.
Yeah, that's like one of those moments where you gotta like just really put it out of your mind, because like, oh, I have that, it's mine, and then it kind of sometimes you just keep rerunning it in your mind and replaying it. But it looks like Zemi's able to just put it out of his mind and just like kind of move on, because he's
just doing donuts on the hill.
Yeah, he's like,
let's see where to go next.
Just blowing off some steam. All right, Baka, get some good high ground.
Our current first place competitor. Whether or not he remains first place by the end of this 5th match, that's up to him to decide. Because he has total control right now of his own destiny, as long as he can manage to close this one out. And I'm sure he's got his eyes set on that Summer Showdown belt.
Yes, sir.
And we were able to show at the top of the show.
Yeah, he actually asked him earlier, hey, do you want to win today or not? And he's like, oh, I guess I'll just do it. So like, I guess he made his choice. So I guess that's that. Oliver G, maybe able to get a little bit more purchase here on the leaderboard. Kind of in a precarious position with all this high ground around him, but hugging the wall to stay a little bit safer than not.
Also, a lot of slurp plants that spawn alongside the edges of this wall face terrain. Oliver OG knows you can always collect some HP and shield if need be.
So take a quick peek up onto the high ground just to make sure no one's lurking.
Decent spot though, and with the way the zone just continuing to pull a little bit towards that mid-west section of the map, but more importantly, if you take a look at where Rift Island is at, just above Rumble Ruins, you have to keep in mind the Rift Island, that's going to be inside of this next zone, and likely the one after that. So I would imagine that if there was a player or multiple players even that chose to contest each other over at that Rift Island, it could be a great position because you have so much height being provided as is at the top of that Rift Island, not to mention the resources that come from the capture point and the vault that lies at that location. So curious if anybody was able to actually collect those benefits or not, because again, we haven't really seen any sort of heavily contested battles taking place at that Rift Island, which can be relatively uncommon to see.
Yeah, usually you expect them to be a little bit more contested, especially if the zone is closing in on that location. But up to now, we just kind of been seeing people just kind of having free reign up there.
Imagine having 3 cars in your garage.
Yeah, you know what? That's a dream. You know, maybe that's what people are working towards. And in Fortnite, you can just have that. Soft bet. Ooh, well, Somerset's gonna have a nice time there with that elimination. Just able to catch someone running out in the open.
Beautiful thinking ahead too. Just gonna throw out the push bomb to be extra safe.
Yeah, you always want to keep yourself safe while you're looting any of these from after any of these eliminations. There's a legendary slurp on the ground, but has a full loadout right now, so probably just gonna.
Main thing that I'm noticing though is that this is one of the first times that we're seeing Somerset not actually having that suppressed sniper rifle in her loadout, and we saw her with an opt-in for a sniper augment earlier on, so to not get a chance to actually utilize that, well, it depends. Maybe she finds one later on, but
what's up?
Taking a step back.
John Pfluger, man of the hour. Yeah, that's a pretty good position. Keep yourself camouflaged, but it's getting tighter and tighter here, folks, with the storm closing in.
So methodical though in each of those movements, each of those point of views. You can tell he's just trying to really take it all in from whatever direction that he's currently pointed at, just to fully ensure that he doesn't have any sort of surprise tactics overwhelming him by any means. Scented doing a good job, keeping an eye on top of that rift. Can't spoil the surprise.
Cannot. He's gotta wait. He's gotta wait and see.
But this is some prime player discipline if I've ever seen it. Don't ever take anything for granted though. It's like, even if you land the first one, unless you can guarantee it.
Oh my gosh.
And that's the guarantee that we're looking for. Perfectly tracked throughout. And now, because of how quickly that went down, nobody is even aware.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes anybody all the wiser to know what exactly just took place there with that last elimination. So a quick grab of all the materials.
Oh, did you hear that?
Those legendary slurp juices as well.
Oh man.
Just below. Those are going to be prime pickings here.
Really just building a nice little structure here to keep himself a little safer, provide a little more security. But man, like you said, that patience, that discipline, that's the difference maker. Like being aware of like, all right, I have
between a pro and
yeah, it's just like he's waiting for his shot. He's like, I see you, I can wait.
Because again, it doesn't really mean a whole lot if you're not able to fully confirm the elimination. there's really no point in taking the first shot in the first place, because then you just expose yourself, you expose your positioning, you risk other players coming in because you've completely slowed down your time to elimination and basically left it in a predicament where somebody else essentially swoop in, or even worse still, that player just stays there for that much longer and continues to waste your time as well, because you're not going to get a free rotate out either after taking shots at somebody else.
Exactly. They're definitely going to want to fire back. And Baka getting some shots in that vehicle, but not able to get an actual hit on the player inside. Checking his head a little bit, but definitely going to shake it off and just keep looking for different points of ingress. Using that fall invincibility from the
zip line,
zip
easy,
line,
way down.
Definitely you don't want to lose any health unnecessarily from that fall damage.
An unfortunate encounter right now, though. Baka having to take out a couple of raptors, because unfortunately, you make noise like that, somebody else is bound to notice.
All right, Bully, they had some oh. I think that's the cover fire here.
Bullying is smart play. It's not uncommon to see players looking to take out trees and whatnot to prevent that natural coverage from taking place, but Bully has really seemed locked in this game, and honestly, I don't even want to give any further commentary on it for the most part, because I'm concerned. I don't want to hit him with any sort of that caster's curse position, but then again, hard to curse somebody who seems so on point today.
Oh, absolutely. Just seems locked in and pretty much prepared for every possibility here. Just a fantastic structure he's built for himself, able to get multiple vantage points and a lot of good cover, and able to get these good peaks out onto the open field that's around him.
Just a lot of steady pressure coming out from this porta bunker direction.
Ooh,
you see players trying to get their way in, but instead they're just going to find their ticket out.
Yep.
Another elimination there from Bully, and the preemptive pop as well. But Legendary Slurp Juice, I mean, a smart move, just in case you end up getting shots. He knows he's not the only one local to that area, so better safe than sorry, after all.
Oh yeah, 100%. Baka trying to do his own due diligence here. Get some shots off, but does not connect with any of them. Oh. But
he must have heard you on that one. He's like, you want to see some connections? I got you.
Yeah, don't worry.
But from a range, though, that's where the Twin Mag Assault Rifle really shines.
Yeah.
Porta Bunker, though, has definitely seen better days at this point. At least that second tier of it. And Baka, fully aware of the fact that he might have to relocate if things continue to pull further and further away from him. And he's certainly not going to be the only player with this mentality. Everybody recognizing the fact that this zone is pulled slightly further south than where that last one was at.
All right, Bully can get some shots off. Kind of at a pretty decent spot on the edge of the storm here. He's actually locked down. This is as long as he can maintain his position, I think once the storm finishes shifting, it's gonna be in a good position to get some of these picks off of people trying to relocate. Oh, it's a bad angle on the shock.
A little tough with that one, but still gets to where he was initially intending, and that's what matters most. Baka, on the other hand, he's trying to prevent players from getting anywhere near where he's at.
Oh.
One shockwave grenade slightly too far. Gonna pop that legendary Slurp Juice in the process, walking his way across the bridge, but instead, it's gonna be a shockwave grenade through. He needs to get into zone. We'll need some damage for it, but the pressure on this porta bunker is the problem.
Oh man, he's sorry, wrong door. All right, able to get some cover here. And just in time.
That sharp tooth shotgun could go crazy for Baka, depending on how close people actually decide to get with him. Getting word right now, too, that John Pfluger, one of our crowd representatives, he's still in this one as well. So this game, it's about more than just these content creators and pros. John Pfluger trying to remind them he came here to play.
So this isn't a fluke, you know? This is just discipline, patience.
It's not a fluke, it's Pfluger.
Yeah, it's cool to see him in the top 4, just kind of going toe-to-toe with these pros.
Such a tense situation, though. You can tell nobody wants to be the first man moving, and everyone trying to slow things down, but then you see these sudden instances of aggression here. But fully understanding, he's got the storm closing on his backside. He's got to get a move on. Baka doing what he can to trace with that combat SMG, but it's not going to be enough just yet. Bully still clinging on for dear life, but it's a third-place finish.
Gets knocked out. Baka trying to clean up, but this structure getting in the way. Something's in the way, it's all right. Gonna jump up, but the storm is gonna be doing its damage.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a big damage. Okay, jumps to the rift.
This could be the make or break, though, and he managed to get it right on top of the Rift Island. Baka with the most perfect positioning that you could possibly imagine. A med mist as well, only to buy him all that much more time. John Pfluger, he's got so much ground to cover, but with this sort of aerial approach, Baka has such a massive advantage, and look at this loot that he's finding even on top of Rift Island. John Pfluger, he's trying to do what he can, but he's got to do the most right now if he wants to make this one work.
And like we were talking about earlier, like it's not usually uncontested, but this one's uncontested in a different kind of way. We got we got John and Baka, the last two, and just he's in such a tight. His back is to the wall right now, and even though the storms are pulling in on Baka, he's still enjoying. Oh. Okay, still got the heals. Kind of got a weird angle on that shock though. Playing it safe. Just firing into the eye right there. John just exposed. Has almost no cover. And able to get it. There it is.
That's just Baka sealing the deal. A valiant attempt there from John Pfluger, but that big brain play out of Baka to rift his way onto Rift Island.
That was so
absolutely insane, because at any given point, John Pfluger, if he'd been able to close those shots onto Baka, that was his opportunity, but it's a tough one at that. I'm not trying to make it seem like those are some easy shots by any means. No, John Pfluger did everything in his power. He did everything basically right. Baka is just an impeccable player on his own right. I mean, that's why he's got the jersey on for Team Agent after all.
Yeah, and it was even at the I got the double thumbs up from John Pfluger. Congratulations, that was a fantastic showing today. But even at that last moment, Baka with the presence of mind to not just shock all the way directly towards John, but to instead get to that bushy area so that he can get some basically uncontested shots.
Well, he was ready for the heal off. He had the double med miss.
Yeah.
If it came down to the fact that John Pfluger didn't have any other option but to try and pressure him out, and once he's shooting at Baka because of where the zone pulled, John basically had to expose himself if he wanted to find those shots. Otherwise, that zone was just going to continue closing, and the double med miss would have 100% won out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that was, what a play. What a play. This is like, he got in the rift. It was perfect. It was so perfect. Baka, congratulations on that final W. Got 2 victory royales today out of the 5 matches, and the only person to do so. Congratulations as well to John Pfluger, just making a statement for the fans.
It looked like he was representing his university there as well with the UT Arlington jersey. I mean, shout outs to him. That's a great way to kind of send things off at the very end here. And John Pfluger, I mean, he put it all out there, that's for sure. And kudos to him. But especially for our content creators and pros and everybody that just decided to come out here today at Six Flags Fiesta Texas to take part in this Day 2 Creator Rumble, the Summer Showdown inside of the esix gaming facility powered by Coca-Cola. I mean, it's been honestly a fantastic time kind of witnessing firsthand just what everyone was capable of.
Oh, yeah. And I was really hoping it would kind of pan out in this kind of fashion where some of the fans were actually able to make waves and actually make their presence known in the competition, and not just see like, oh yeah, I mean they're here, but you know they're not able to like get any traction.
Now, some of these players, I mean, they're right back to the grind.
Oh yeah.
The competition's over, but hey, my gameplay instances for Fortnite certainly are not. But for Baka, I mean, he's got to be feeling pretty hype after that one. And for all these guys on stage, poor Booga, I'm really curious to see what exactly happened with our leaderboard at the end there as well, because remember, Booga was barely clinging on to that third place position, and John Fluger was in a decent position to maybe overtake.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see once we get those numbers compiled. But no, absolutely. And it's having Baka, who's already, I guess, in that top 2, kind of helps for him to get that victory royale, because you don't have to worry about someone else like jumping over you.
I think Bully knew too.
Yeah.
Bully knew as soon as he went out, it was him or Baka by the end of it all. Those two were really just vying it out for that first place position. But I believe Bully should have had enough of a lead to probably lock down that second place spot. But it's really that third place that I'm super curious about. Bully and Baka just did such a phenomenal job here today at kind of separating into a different tier here. They just went 0 builds mayhem on the rest of the lobby. Yeah,
they were able to kind of establish that dominance like somewhat early on, and they kept on vying, jockeying for like 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and towards the end it was just like, who really is going to be it's like between the two of them, whether one of them's going to be 1 or 2, but that third place position really just became what was left up for grabs afterwards. So, you know, it's kind of interesting how it played out, but honestly, it was a non-stop hits just from start to finish. But yeah, that's there's the long kind of the culmination of today. We have the 5 matches, and the points were obviously accumulated all the way through. We had some ups and downs, a lot of different players. We had, for a long time, no one had gotten 2 victory royales over the course of today, but Baka able to kind of like poetically seal off that final game with a second win. So really exciting stuff. Everyone was doing a really good job of maintaining their advantages. Obviously, we had some trick plays here and there. We had Oliver in that game 4, stealing away that victory royale from Zemi. Was able to kind of clutch out that win with that perfectly spaced shockwave to bounce him out of the zone. And in 5.
No, I'm good. Thanks. See you guys. Bye. All right, I was going the wrong way, but it's fine.
But obviously, it's been a fantastic competition today with in the esix Six Flags Fiesta, Power Coca-Cola. I'm really, really excited to see this last ceremony, and I really appreciate y'all joining us for this competition. And I really had a great time casting for you guys, and I hope you all enjoyed it too. But for now, we're going to kick it over to the floor so we can see all our top 3 placements.
Thanks so much, Waltz. And again, we are at the conclusion of our Day 2 Summer Showdown Creator Rumble right here in the esix gaming facility, powered by Coca-Cola, inside the heart of Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Our competitors did everything they could to muster their power, to try and overwhelm some of our content creators and pros on the stage here today. And success, surprisingly enough, was found. Our 3rd place competitor who came in at the last match to take it over Booga, who was originally in that 3rd place position. It's gonna be the man of the hour, John Fluger. Congratulations. Nice job, man. Did a phenomenal performance out there. Any words?
Sorry? I'm truly blessed for all of you guys hosting the event, so thank you so much.
It's been awesome watching you compete here, both between day 1 and now day 2. Congratulations again on that 3rd place position, man. Excellent job to close things off in game number 5. But this is just our 3rd place competitor. Our 2nd place position is gonna belong to none other than Bully, coming out strong with that 2nd place finish. Get on over here, Bully. Hey. Second close enough to first?
Oh, dude. I don't know. I had 44 points. We were tied, and then I choked the game. But, you know, he deserves it. I'm not going to lie. He won the last game. He deserves it. I'm happy.
You both put on a great performance, so let's not kid yourself by any means, dude. That was some impressive gameplay in the zero builds realm coming out of you two. And you especially, I think, did everything in your power to try and make that one happen. But our first place winner, our Victory Royale contestant, the only one to get 2 on the day even, it's gonna be Team Agent's very own Baka representing here for the Day 2 Summer Showdown Creator Rumble. Baka, I mean, first place, man, how's it feel?
Feels good. I definitely almost choked a little bit, but we won at the end.
What was going through your mind the moment that you managed to hit that moment onto Rift Island?
I wasn't even expecting it, but I knew there was a rift there, so I was like, either I die to zone or I just go up and just like play for something. I was in shambles. I was just thinking.
I mean, that's the beauty of it all, though, when it comes to these kinds of competitions. You really get your chance to shine, and it's about seizing those moments, and I think that each of you fellas definitely made the most of your opportunities given today to find yourselves in this third, second, and now first place positions here. But Baka, it's not just the prize pool that you got to play for at the very end here. We've got our Summer Showdown Creator Rumble belt to be represented to you as well. You can wear that one with pride, man. Wear it on your forehead, wear it on your belly, whatever it seems to suit you best. Congratulations. And of course, this prestigious award presented by the one and only Rachel from Coca-Cola.
I am just so excited how amazing this turned out. Wear that with pride and show it to everybody. You are the first inaugural Summer Showdown winner.
As everybody else here has already mentioned on stage, it's been an awesome experience, both from day one, now leading into day 2. Loved getting an opportunity to see how the fans actually shaped up, both with and against some of our creators and pros alike. You guys all did standout performances throughout each of these 2 days of competition. Nothing came easy by any means, but it's been an awesome display. So just want to say a huge thank you, not only to our competitors that decided to turn out here today, but to everybody watching back at home on the Six Flags Gaming Twitch channel, as well as our staff and production, our overall team, and just everybody, man. The parents, the friends and family that came out to support all of you guys competing here today. It's so awesome to witness all of these things. So again, thank you guys so much for everything and for letting us have this opportunity here at the E6 Game Facilities, powered by Coca-Cola inside Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Been an awesome time, but now we're here to enjoy some of the rest of everything that has, and Baka getting one last opportunity. Raise that bell high, man. Congratulations, man. We're all gonna get a chance to celebrate not just his victory, but just a good time in general here at the E6 Game Facility. So you guys have a great rest of your day. Hope you guys enjoyed the show and our Summer Showdown in general, presented by Coca-Cola inside of Six Flags Fiesta Texas. We'll see y'all next time. Have a good one.